We've done that before too many times.
Yeah. Oh, that was a fun one.
40 minutes in. Okay.
Yay.
And we'll go. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Untitled Car Project. I'm Rob Spring.
I'm Grant Gonzalez.
Jeremy Molt.
Joined today, I'd like to welcome actress and car enthusiast Rachel Thurow. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on. Kind of crazy short notice. I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, no worries. I was looking forward to it.
Cool. So you were at SEMA this last, I guess it's
2 weeks ago now?
2 weeks, a week and a half ago.
Has it been that long already? Wow.
I know. It feels like it was just like yesterday, but yeah, I like SEMA. It's a pretty cool show.
Yeah.
What do you do down there?
So my husband and I have kind of like a business like where we make 3D printer parts and stuff for cars. And so he hasn't gone the last couple years because it's just easier for me to like network and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically why I'm there. So I kind of go as like a buyer rather than an exhibitor or, something else.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So 3D printing interior parts and that kind of thing?
Yeah, mostly like the plastic parts.
Yeah.
Like in my hatchback, I have one that says, R&D Garage right on the faceplate and just kind of cool little touches.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how 3D printing plays into project cars and restoration projects and that kind of stuff, and it's definitely getting to be a bigger deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. I've been utilizing it a lot actually on the car that I'm building right now, where it's like, because you need like an aluminum or a steel bracket, but you're not quite sure what it should look like. And, there's nothing out there. And so to print that out first is just, it's so nice.
Just like a prototype of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's really cool. It's a very cost-effective way to do it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of making that metal part and it's wrong, and you're like, well, I get to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it's just like a millimeter and you're like, damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
close.
close.
I've done that more than once.
Yeah.
So if you build a part like that with a 3D printer, say it's a bracket for, an alternator or something like that, and you got to throw it away, how much are you out?
I'm sorry, and I have to like throw it away? What was that?
Yeah. If you have to throw it away, right, and start over because it was obviously incorrect.
Yeah.
How much money do you think you're out having to redo it?
Not a whole lot, because we can pretty much write it off anyway. And so it's not a whole lot of money being lost. It's certainly a lot less than, like you said before, buying a part where we think is going to work and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's easier to swallow throwing away $20 worth of plastic rather than a couple hundred in metal.
Because
sure.
I have a few buddies that live up in Tacoma that run CNC machines, and it could be several $100s for a small part like that.
Oh, yeah. Not including the hours of time it takes to mill that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we have friends with that and we've used it before, but yeah, we definitely prefer our little printer. So it's been good.
It's a great way to go. It's smart. Well, let's get into your background a little bit. What how did you get into like being a car enthusiast?
I think it's something that's in your blood. Like you're either into cars or you're not.
Yeah.
So I want to say ever since I can remember, maybe 4 or 5 years old, I've always noticed cars on the road. I've always been interested. Like some kids like dinosaurs, some kids like, birds or I don't know, something like that. I was always into the cars.
Yeah.
And so, it started, with Matchbox cars and all that. And then the thing that like solidified it all was, I want to say in like first or second grade, my student aide had a brand new CRX. And I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I was like, oh, what is this? I need one someday.
That's
and
awesome.
I knew then it was just like, it was pretty much all over.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think you're kind of born with it. I was the same way as a really little kid, man. It was always whatever I don't know, it had a motor and wheels, I was in, whatever it was.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Could have been a lawnmower, and I was like, yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm still that way. There's actually a racing lawnmower I was looking at the other day.
my God.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
You
Can I
have
make
to
it go
get it. You
faster?
have
I'm in. Yeah. No, that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was along those lines, early on you said a CRX was like, you had to have it. What did you end up with as your first car?
Okay, this is funny. So when I first started driving, my parents let me have their 88 Mercury Sable, which, wasn't the most fun car.
Right.
But the first car I ended up buying for myself was a 1990 Integra RS. So it was basically
wow.
the base model. I know, but to me, and I bought it in 97, but to me, that was like the fastest car ever. Like
Yeah.
it cruised at 80. I couldn't even believe it,
That's actually a pretty cool car, though. I mean,
Yeah.
as your first one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was super pleased with it. And it was even a stick shift. And so I had to actually learn to drive it.
Yeah.
My boyfriend at the time brought it home for me and he's like, okay, you have 2 days to learn stick shift. And I had various other people try to teach me. It was not happening. But finally, that was the car I eventually learned on and was able to drive it by Monday. Because I think we picked up the car on Friday. And then, I had to drive it to work on Monday. And so it was just like, you're either calling in sick or you're driving this damn car.
So it's trial by fire. That's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
For sure. It's I was going to say a crash course in it. Well, hopefully you don't crash.
No.
Not like my first time driving.
Right.
Where I
Oh, no.
I sent my dad's 64 Ford through like this patch of alder trees.
Oh, no.
Oh, it
that's
was fine.
terrible.
It was fine. It kept going, but it scared the crap out of my dad.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, no. Oh, my God, my car.
No doubt. No doubt. So was that car like a work in progress, or was it?
Oh, it definitely was. That was actually the first car I modified. And so, like everybody did in the 90s, obviously there was no real internet to buy parts in. And so I had to go, I was living where was I living? The North Bay. So I think either Novato or Petaluma, I can't remember now. But I had to go all the way to like Oakland and San Francisco to pick up, rims and tires. I think I had like a Momo shift knob.
Oh, wow.
And there was a bunch of stuff done to it. Of course, the AEM intake, because that's what everybody did.
Yeah.
And my one mistake, this is actually hilarious. So I got a Flowmaster exhaust on it. Why? I don't know. There wasn't really anything else available. It was like a domestic, exhaust shop I went to. And they're like, oh, you're going to love this. Yeah, you could hear me coming 3 miles away. And I still to this day do not know how I didn't get a ticket for that.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's
so
pretty
you
boss.
went full in. You were like, I'm going to modify this thing. This is your first project car.
That was definitely my first project car. And of course, I devoured like B-Sport magazine, Super Street, Sport Compact Car, Turbo Mag, like anything was on the market. I was reading it and going, oh, I want to do that.
Wow. Yeah. You were project car person right from the get-go.
Did you have that Integra like a goal straight from the get-go, or was it just anything that sounded cool you threw at it?
Pretty much, since it was my first car, I had seen a lot of other imports being done up. And so I kind of had a little bit of an idea of what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. And so I just but at the same time, kind of winging it too. So, and as, budget constraints and all that.
Yeah.
So were you all hands-on for all your modifications?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Maintenance, do it yourself on mods, all that stuff?
Yes, that is correct. So I didn't have a whole lot of experience working on cars when I was little. My dad took care of like oil changes and tire rotations and stuff like that. But I really didn't know a whole lot besides that.
Yeah.
And so when I met my boyfriend, now husband, he's like, yeah, we're going to change that. Because, I'm definitely mechanically inclined. I used to take my toys apart like all the time, put them back together. And so we basically would work on them together. And then after a point, he's just like, you can do this yourself. Just go do it. So that was pretty cool too.
Just kind of a dive in and learn as you go.
Oh, yeah. Because, especially with the imports, you can't hurt them too bad.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know.
Put enough boost in it.
Well, that's a different story. That was my fourth car.
Okay.
Still didn't wreck it. But, yeah, that's when I would do the did the turbo kit and all that. But even that, it was a lot of fun. It's a great learning process.
So as far as that goes, so you're totally into the imports. That's your bread and butter, kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I have obviously respect for the domestics and all that. And I don't hate them or anything, but my heart has always been like JDM cars.
Yeah. Do you think that's because, when you were young, like that CRX struck a chord and then your first car is an Integra? Do you think that's kind of where it comes from? If it had been a Mustang as your first car, would you have been more into domestics probably?
That sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so little and cute, and I want one, and I'm little, and I'm just like, I fit better kind of in, the imports than I do the domestics. I love the domestics. We have a couple Mustangs too. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of vibe better with the JDM cars.
It makes sense. I mean, stature kind of plays into the car that you have too. I get that. Actually fitting the car. Yeah, that's funny. Hadn't really thought of that. But so if you think of a classic car, what's a classic car to you? Because now, that 90 whatever Acura is a classic car.
Yeah.
It does hurt.
For me, I still think classic cars, my mind immediately goes like American muscle, like the 60s Mustangs, the GTOs, the old Ford trucks. That's still where my mind goes. Obviously, if I was born maybe like 20 years ago, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that 1992 Hatchie you got, that's a classic. Yeah, in my mind, she's not a classic car at all. I know she is, but I choose to ignore it.
It's hard. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to think of it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of funny. If you had the chance, would you buy another one?
Buy another hatchback?
Like your original, because for instance, when I was a teenager, I had a 72 Camaro. I would buy another one in a heartbeat if I found it, and for the right price and whatever. But would you do the same as your first car?
I definitely would. I still regret selling that first car. And actually, when I was in the pick and pull over the weekend, I don't know if you saw my story about the little white. Yes, because it looked just like my old car, or like my first car. And so, it got me a little teary-eyed. So I'm like, damn it, I wish I had kept it.
It strikes a chord there, doesn't it?
It definitely does. It's your history. It's personal history. So, yeah, for sure.
Well, since then, how many cars have you gone through?
Oof. Okay.
Let's start the list.
Yeah.
I know. It's been a lot. Okay. So first it was the 90, and then after that, I got a 1996 Integra GSR. So that was my first GSR. In between my GSR and the next GSR, I had a Miata, a Saab, which Saab story, never again. That was just kind of fun. I know, right?
Yeah.
The 2001 GSR that I ended up turboing. I also held a Del Sol. I've had, oh my gosh. Yeah, I've had at least maybe 15 cars by myself.
Oh, yeah.
And then together with my husband, we've probably owned close to, oh my God, this number is ridiculous, but probably about 50.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's a little insane.
You've seen that meme where the average person owns 2.5 cars or whatever it is.
Yeah. Like, I want to know who that person is.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the rest of us are working on 30 and 40. It's like, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How'd you guys...
At the moment, we have about 11 cars.
Oh, wow.
So, so we have my hatchback. We have the 98 Supersonic Blue GSR. We have the 05 Lotus Elise. The 2008 FJ Cruiser, 69 Ford F-250 Camper Special that my grandpa actually left me. And when he gave it to us, it's all original. It only had 15,000 miles on it.
Wow.
So you guys would go crazy over that truck. It's so beautiful.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, so that was super cool. We also have, my husband kept his first two cars, so he was obviously smarter than I was. So we have the 67 Mustang Fastback that we had our first date in.
Wow.
Nice.
And this is a joke I tell to both sets of people, both car people and non-car people. And I go, the day he sells that car is the day we're getting divorced.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but it's usually the car people that laugh and the regular people go, oh my God, that's terrible. I'm like, I'm not a car person.
Yeah. Because just like every other car person knows, it's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
So the ones that
So-
don't laugh, do you think in your head, "Ooh, we can't be friends"?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, okay, there's certain jokes I just can't say around you anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask, how do you decide when it's time to get rid of a car and then get to the next one? Do you guys just get bored of it, or is it fulfill your needs?
Usually we do get a little bit bored. This current fleet that we've had is pretty much been the longest we've ever kept some cars, like the FJ.
Mhm.
We have that since like 2010, and it recently blew a head gasket. And
Oh.
so we're getting ready to fix it, send it on its merry way, and possibly get a Land Cruiser instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually we tend to keep cars maybe about 2 years at the longest.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just one of those things like maybe we've done our all with it and it's time to move on. You
Yeah.
just kind of know after a while.
It's run its course. You start giving me problems, you're down the road, buddy.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what
It's like,
what Land Cruiser are you looking at?
I think the 1958. I think that one looks pretty cool.
Okay.
I haven't test drove it yet, but I'm looking forward to finally doing all the test driving and finally deciding.
Wow.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I like those ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to shift a little bit. Car pun. Shift.
First or second gear?
Second gear.
Okay, second gear. Got it.
You are involved in some motorsport, some racing.
I am. Yeah.
Tell us about that and how'd you get started in racing?
Okay, this was pretty cool. So when we got the hatchback, I really, really wanted to try my hand at drag racing again. I'd gone in the early 2000s, but back then I was just like, oh, just line up at the light and then go as fast as you can. And I didn't know there was like an art to it. And so the last, I want to say 5 years, I've been consistently doing drag racing at Sonoma Raceway, which is my home raceway.
Okay.
And it's been fun. They're kind of like phasing us out, which really, really sucks.
How so?
But I've had a blast doing that. And honestly, I don't know if it's like Northern California or what, but I was like embraced as soon as I showed up. And it's like most of my friends drive domestics at the track,
Yeah.
and then the fact that here comes this little chick with this bright blue and yellow hatchback, but it's like, okay, everybody's welcome. But that's been a lot of fun. But then when it started to kind of taper off a little bit the last couple of years, I decided to try my hand at track days. And that's, when you do the bigger tracks. I've done Sonoma, Laguna, haven't done Buttonwillow yet, but I've done
Awesome.
Streets of Willow, both directions, and Thunder Hill. Love Thunder Hill.
Nice. That's some good tracks in your belt.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I thank you. And they're so much fun. And then you start to get a little bit noticed because, there's kind of a difference between the influencer, male or female, just kind of trying to look cute with their little car. And then there's the person, they're like, no, I'm serious. I want to, kick some ass out on the track. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
So, it's been fun.
So what level are you doing? Are you just going out and doing track days? Are you doing time attack or what kind of, or even door to door? What are you racing?
Right now, I'm doing just regular track days. I was going to go into time attack, and then we decided to remove the B18 in my current car and swap it to the K. And that way we could build it precisely to the time attack rules.
Ooh, I like
and
it.
so I'm going to get to know the car better this upcoming season. And then the season after that, I'm going to basically try to do time attack and get even more notice and hopefully get more sponsors.
That's awesome.
So I definitely want to kind of make a name for myself out in racing.
Is that a K24 or K20 you're throwing in there?
It's actually a hybrid of both,
Oh,
or a
nice.
Frankenstein motor. I can't say hybrid.
Yeah.
So it's a Drag Cartel K20 head with a 4-piston K24 short block.
Okay.
And then obviously all the necessary parts.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
Wow.
Yo, for sure.
Yeah.
For
That's
sure.
awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the time attack stuff, time trial.
Yes.
Yes, I got to
Nice.
do. I actually didn't get to do any this year. I did some last year, and then they didn't have any at our local track this year, which was kind of a bummer. But
Yeah.
Oh, man.
yeah.
And
Anyway, it didn't work out. But
Yeah.
next year I'll probably do a little traveling and get some more in. But
And then Rob's trying to drag me along to them too.
yeah, I just got to get you
Nice.
on the track to start with. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's so much fun. It's so addictive,
Yeah.
because with me, I'm always nervous right before I get on track. But the instant I'm on the track, it's like, okay, it's go time. Like no nerves, no nothing, just have fun.
Pure focus. You're just focused at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just used to the smaller track for autocross and track cross. I haven't got to the big track yet. I've done.
Oh, you'll love it. And I love autocross too. That's another thing I started finally getting into the last couple years. And that to me is so much fun too.
It is a good time. Yep. Really is. Out of those tracks that you've run, and that's a really good list of tracks, which is your favorite?
My favorite is definitely Sonoma.
Yeah.
It's such a technical track. It's my home track. But it's also the one track that I don't go full send at just because it's all concrete. There's very little runoff and I've seen some poop go down.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But,
I don't blame you. It definitely crosses your mind, right? When you're out there.
Oh, yeah.
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 Wall is a little close.
You don't want to think about it too much, but you see that person lose it and you're like, oh, I'll just go a little slower right here.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt to check up just a touch.
For sure.
Is there any types of racing that you haven't done that you want to try?
At the moment, not really. I've taken a couple of drift classes, which was a lot of fun. But for me, I know I'm not a drifter. For some reason, most of my car friends are, and they're happy to take me out and stuff. But I guess since I've done so much drag racing and all the rest where you have to be in control of your car, to me, drifting feels like you're out of control, even though I know you're not.
Right.
And so I think there's just something in my brain that won't let me do it.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, drifting seems to look at it out of control, sort of, but those guys have extreme control of their cars. They know exactly where they're putting it. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Except for the guys who are their first day on track.
Well, even those guys have an idea. It may not go as planned.
Yeah. And also, it's an extremely expensive sport. I think it's one of the most expensive motorsports out there because they go through a set of tires after one session.
Yeah.
So that's a little rich for my blood.
I don't know. I think rally's more expensive.
It might be.
Oh, that too. Yeah, I'd love to try rally. It's never going to happen, but I would love that.
Yeah.
I can send you to a place.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you actually want to get noticed and get sponsorships and that kind of stuff. Where do you want to take your racing career?
At the moment, I do actually have a few sponsors.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to see how far I can go.
Sure.
I've managed to make a lot of really good friendships with a lot of high up people. And so I'm just here waiting to see what happens, to be honest.
Along for the ride, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Do your best, but you see where it takes you. I like that attitude, though. I mean, only slight expectations, maybe, and then just do your best, see where it goes, and if it works out, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay. Had fun.
Yeah, it's at least you tried.
Yeah. Agreed. So, knowing that you were into some racing, I was thinking about the women in racing movement, which is great and awesome. I wanted to know your feelings on that movement, or should there be room in the class for everybody? Race against men, race against women, whatever. Should it be separated? Should it be combined? What do you feel about that?
Honestly, I haven't thought too much about it. I guess I've been pretty lucky. Normally when I'm on track, doing a track day or something, I'm either the only woman in my class or I'm one of maybe three.
Right.
And so I look at it as a personal challenge, because a lot of these people or a lot of these guys have been racing maybe since they were kids. And so for me, it kind of helps get that mentality of, okay, we're going to push it today. We're going to see how you do, and just see how it goes, I guess. I'm always very, very welcoming. If another woman driver shows up, I'm not one of those who I'm going to side eye her and go, oh, great, there's another one here. No, right, I'm perfectly, I welcome it. And so, cool. I don't know. I kind of like being able to race with a mixture of both men and women. I feel like it keeps you on your toes, and it's not like a sport where you have to be super strong, like wrestling or volleyball or, just any regular athletic.
Yep.
So I think we all kind of have a good chance in this kind of motorsport.
No, I agree. Once the helmet's on, it really doesn't matter.
Everyone's a
Oh
stick.
yeah, absolutely.
You can't tell
If
the difference.
anything, I think women have a slight edge. It's just that we're normally a little bit lighter and smaller. And
Yeah.
so,
That's valid. Power to weight ratio does make a difference.
Yep.
I certainly don't want to go karting with you.
yeah.
Do you have any like track day experiences that stand out to you? Things that have happened on track or experiences?
Yeah, I have actually one that I love to think about once in a while. So last year I did Laguna for the last time with, the old motor and everything. And I got to know that car so well that even though it was only like 174 dynoed, so only 174 horse, not a whole lot of torque or whatever. But I was moving away from a bunch of the Porsches there, and they couldn't keep up.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a
so,
good feeling.
I know it sounds like literally insane. And I'd had actually a couple of guys come up to me and go, "What do you have in that car? You turboed? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I have less than 200 horsepower," which obviously also hurt their feelings. But they're like,
yeah.
"Damn, okay."
That's
and
awesome.
so it felt really, really good. And so that's kind of like what I'm keeping in my back pocket as I work in the car and get frustrated. Like, just think what you can do with now 330 horsepower.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
It's going to be insane because the car itself only weighs, I'm going to say like 1,200 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So she's pretty stripped down.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that build. Like, what have you put into it as far as, like, where did the car start from? Was it just a basic road car and you stripped it and caged it? And what's the build like?
Pretty much. So the car has kind of a history among our friends. There was 3 of us that each took a turn owning this car maybe like twice. And so I I got it back about 6 or 7 years ago. Actually, no, shoot, like 7 or 8 years ago now. Holy
Time
moly.
flies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before, other people would kind of like race it, but not too seriously, maybe take it to the drag races or do a track course with it. And so when I finally got it back, it had the B18 C1. That motor had been in the car for almost 15 or 16 years.
Oh my gosh.
And then it was also turboed. And so we drove it like that for a while. It was teal, it was lowered, it didn't have a whole lot done to it other than, the motor stuff. And after that, we're like, okay, I started doing drag racing with it. We took off the turbo because the engine was starting to, not break down, but it was just like, okay, it's not that as healthy as it used to be. Let's take the turbo off. And so that's when I drag raced it for like 4 or 5 years. And then when we got into the track events, the last couple of races, the motor started to smoke. And it was like, oh, okay, it's time for a redesign. And so one of my very, very good friends and mentors, Mike Kojima from Moto IQ, he's like, if you're really serious about doing time attack, this is the motor you should build. And so on Moto IQ, they have a great, great sequence of videos about how to build a Frankenstein motor, the K20, K24. And while it does mirror his, a lot of the parts aren't quite as expensive. I'd be like, okay, Mike, what should I, what exhaust should I get? What, radiator should I get? And he'd name a name and I'd be like, okay, now like 4 steps down from that, what do you recommend?
Yeah.
So we did spend a great load of money on it, but it's still not as expensive as a lot of cars out there, but I know it's going to run great. So,
and it is full caged, right?
At the moment, it's not caged. That's kind of the last step in the process.
Gotcha.
I know. So I still have to get a cage, Hans device, racing suit, and a bucket seat for it. But so this whole literal past 8 months, we've just been doing motor work and exhaust and all the rest of the mechanics.
Yeah.
And painting the engine bay and stuff.
So it's kind of a show car, show car at the same time.
It'll be a little bit of a show car. I do go to a lot of cars and coffees and, oh gosh, what are they? Like a lot of car shows. I go to all of them.
Cruisings and stuff. Yeah. Actually, I want to ask you about car shows here in a minute. But so have you done like brakes and suspension on the car as well?
Oh gosh, of course. Yeah, nothing on that car is stock.
Yeah. What did you put on there? Just for our project car people, what was your decision making on that?
So a lot of the suspension I had from last time, and so I still have the team suspension on it. I'm actually in talks with a brand new suspension company that are going to be sponsoring part of their suspension.
Yeah.
And so I can't really talk about it quite yet.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so for now it's the teens and they worked great, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I literally have an Excel spreadsheet of all my parts.
Let's
so
pull it
yeah,
up.
ask away.
I do that as well.
You have to.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of thing people are like, "Oh, what kind of cylinder head do you have?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh crap!" You know,
Here,
like,
let me pull
do
that
the
up. Hang on a
files.
second. Yeah.
When you get past mods for that you can count on your hands, then
Yeah.
you know you have to get out the cell sheet.
Yep. Exactly.
So
Oh, yeah.
what
Yeah.
what brakes did you end up going with?
So I do have the Brembo brakes,
Okay.
which have worked great for me.
What size are those?
And I've done, you know what? I've done so many different brakes in that car because obviously I've gone through them a lot. So I've done Brembo, I've done Hawk, I've done a couple others, and I really like the Brembos on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. Okay, so we'll jump to the maybe shift to third gear now.
Okay.
The car show type of stuff. You make it to many of those and local stuff, or do you travel a bit for car shows and that kind of thing? Or
Some I do travel for, like, you know, SoCal shows. I usually do Radwood, JCCS, the Japanese Classic Car Show. Let's see. Yeah, a couple more down there. Over here, we're getting a lot better. Like,
Yeah.
I'd say even 10 years ago, we didn't have that much car stuff going on. Like, it was mostly for domestics.
yeah,
And so now we have a lot of really cool shows, at least 3 or 4 times a month.
oh wow,
Unfortunately, I've had to skip a lot of them just because we've been so busy preparing the car.
sure,
But, you know, there's Novato Cars and Coffee. There's Pre-Stage, which is a really cool new show. Breakfast Club Rally, where, you know, you get together and they always kind of assign, okay, now it's, you know, Porsche Breakfast Club Rally. Now
yeah.
it's the imports. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's pretty sick.
that's awesome. Yeah, it feels to me like, and you know, maybe you can comment on it, that the car scene's getting stronger. I really
Yes.
feel like it is. There's more and more and more people that, you know, whether you're domestic or import, it really doesn't matter. I feel like the car scene is getting stronger. Community wise is getting stronger. You know, everybody separates it out into groups or cliques, or maybe it's a type of car, like you said, Porsche or this or that, whatever. But it does feel like there's a lot more happening.
Yeah, I really, really like it. Yeah, because I missed it. Like back in the day, you know, you'd have like a good guy show or something like that, and it'd be like once a year. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what are we going to do until next year?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I
Yeah,
know-
it's super cool. And it's a good way to connect with people too. Because, you know, there's the internet and Instagram and all that, but it's also there's something to be said about going up to someone who's standing proudly by their car and go, man, that's an awesome car. Tell me about it. What did you do to her?
Tell you
know,
what,
and then
yeah.
like you're instant besties.
I mean, for sure, that's what this podcast is all about, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's all about the cars, and people like to share their car stories, and you know they got to have an outlet for it. I think it's awesome.
Especially if you have a
Definitely.
Polaroid camera, it gets everyone's attention.
Polaroid
and they'll
works
tell you
pretty well.
everything about it. They're like, oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That actually, I absolutely love it when someone has a Polaroid camera because I've returned to my car several times and found a picture of my car on my car.
Yeah.
And the only thing is, I wish they'd sign the damn thing because I never know who did it,
So-
you know? So I'm always posting on my stories, who took this picture? It's
So
so
that-
awesome. And like nobody ever tells me.
So that was actually one of our schemes that we did at SEMA this year. Is I brought a Polaroid camera with a couple hundred, shots worth, and we'd take pictures of
Nice.
people's car, and on the back of it, we'd throw our sticker with a QR code. So not only do we have an introduction
Oh.
to people, and it tells them like, hey, check our podcast. We're gonna be talking about your car. But on top of
Yes.
that, it's a good way to just keep in contact with people because they have like, okay, they the physical thing to remember you as well as they're like, hey, this is where I get in contact with you guys. Yeah.
I agree. That's a fantastic idea. I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's it's a souvenir for them too because they're not going to throw that away. It's a cool little
gosh,
shot.
no.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
It's pretty fun.
exactly.
yeah. Go ahead, Grant. You had
Oh, I had a few questions written down here on this one. So, Rachel, I got a question. With all your cars that you've been driving throughout the years, do you consider yourself more front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or rear-wheel drive? Like, what's your favorites, or what do you find more appealing in each of those categories?
For me, my bread and butter has been for front wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the car I'm most comfortable in. Although it's hysterical because my daily is actually an '05 S2000, which is rear wheel drive. And so, obviously I haven't driven the Civic in almost a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it used to be I would go drag racing in the Civic, and then the next day I'd get into the S and I'd be like, oh gosh, this feels totally different.
Yeah.
So if I had to choose, I would probably still stick with front wheel drive.
Okay. Do you have a favorite out of all front wheel drives you've driven? Not just your own cars, but like ones that you don't own?
Honestly, I've never really thought about that.
Stumped her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That's a good question.
That's hard to narrow that down, honestly. It's like you like different cars for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But to put it on a favorite,
It's so true. If I had to choose, oh gosh, I don't know. Can we come back to that?
We definitely come back to that one.
Come back to that. I wanted to ask about your career a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Actress, how long have you been doing that?
So that I've been doing since about 2017 now.
Okay. That's cool. I looked over there was on your bio, there's like 11 different projects you've been in. That's pretty good. That's a bunch.
Oh yeah. And honestly, that's not even everything.
Okay.
I've probably been in, I've been a lot more than that. I do a lot of background work, but I also do a lot of like commercials, and those don't usually go on your bio.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
My favorite to date, I actually got to do a Northern California Honda commercial with the hatchback.
Oh, really?
So,
That's cool.
Oh yeah, that was like a bucket list combining both my loves together. Dream come true.
How'd that opportunity come into your lap? Did you pursue Honda, or did they come to you and say, hey, or what?
It was actually a casting agency, because we have like a bunch of different online sites.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of my friends actually forwarded me the casting. And he's like, if you don't go for this, you're insane. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Alonzo, thank you so much.
That's awesome.
And so I ended up submitting everything. And then we had like a Zoom meeting, and it was during COVID, so we couldn't meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it was just like, So I basically got the commercial. I was one of 900 people that had tried out for it.
Wow.
And so I was happy about that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really something. Do you think you got it because of your car background?
I think so. They knew how passionate, like when I speak about my cars, I'm obviously excited and I love them.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they could tell.
Yeah.
So it was
awesome.
going to be authentic if they chose me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask if you wanted to weave those two together. Would you want to pursue a film project, whether commercial, TV, or movie, that had more to do with cars? Like, if Need for Speed came up to you, would you jump at that opportunity?
Oh, heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'd be all over that.
Seemed like a dumb question. But yeah, so if you could weave the two together, that'd be ideal.
They're always expanding the cast of Fast and Furious. You never know.
Fast and Furious. There you go.
I know.
Yeah.
Hell, I do Fast and Furious too. I don't care. It's got a car in it and you're filming. Yeah, I'll be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How-
I've gotten a chance to do a couple of pilots. Unfortunately, they didn't work out. One was with, I don't know if you guys have heard of Mike Musto.
Yes, I know Mike Musto.
Yeah, he's super cool. And so he actually came to me with a project, and it was for Tested, which actually came out and only he was the one guy who did the show. But there was going to be 3 of us. And I was going to do the truck segments. Another guy was going to do the imports. And then he obviously was going to do the muscle cars. And so unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I do have the pilot that, I still watch once in a while. And it would have been super rad if it had worked out. But, that's showbiz, baby.
I got to ask, because you seem more of the import person. Why were you the truck person in that?
I think Mike saw my truck at a show.
Okay.
And so he was just like, you got to do the trucks. And I was just like, okay. Obviously I probably would have been more comfortable doing the imports instead.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to turn down an opportunity like this.
Yeah. What got you into wanting to get into movies and acting and stuff like that? Where did that come from?
That was another thing since I was a kid. I just always wanted to be in movies and on TV. And I think in the back of my head, it was a way to kind of live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always thought it was so cool. And my mom was always big into movies. Like she was a piano teacher before she retired. And so she would see every single movie in the theater when we were in school, during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of instilled that love of movies into us. And so I would sit there and watch the credits and go, man, I want my name to be up there someday. It was just,
cool.
I don't know, maybe I'm an Aquarius, so I'm a little show offy,
That's really cool though.
It is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite movie of all time?
Oh gosh, I have a bunch. I think
time,
my
that's a big
favorite
list.
movie is Top Secret. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
Mm-mm.
It's Val Kilmer when he was very young. It's
Okay.
a comedy. I think it's by the same guys who did Airplane, which I
Okay.
also really, really love.
That's a good movie.
But
That's a
it's
good
one
movie.
of those that absolutely stood the test of time, where it was absolutely hysterical as a kid, and it still makes me laugh now.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
obviously the Back to the Future series.
Yes.
Such a big yes.
So much yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like Back to the Future is good, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you think on that movies, especially backward, do you think that trilogy should stay untouched, or do you think it should be either a sequel to it, like more modern movies are going to, or remade, or what's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, my first instinct is to say just leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do any remakes. It's perfect as it is.
Yeah.
But honestly, if they were to make a fourth that brought back all, the people that were in the movie,
Yeah.
and not just be like, oh, this is, so and so's son, and now he's going on an adventure.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see them older and like dealing with maybe going back to the future or going into the past, or
Yeah.
something like that. But at the same time, if that never happened, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, there's a couple of canon games that are been made into movies or on YouTube that bring some interesting thoughts on that.
Ooh.
Yeah, one of the things nerding out real fast is
Yeah,
that
you are.
the DeLorean in most cases and most fan fictions or whatever actually after the second movie is hit by lightning, it separates and actually makes two timelines of cars.
Oh.
And so the car comes back, and so most possible sequels have been based off that event, and so that's how the car is still around, and then that's what goes for it. Whether that's
interesting
Telltale
concept.
Games or other fan fictions and stuff.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
interesting
Oh, that
concept. I
sounds
could
cool.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to check that out.
yeah. Do you have a favorite movie car of all time?
Ooh, favorite movie car. That's a good one. I think it's got to be the White Challenger. I really love that. Plus the DeLorean. I still want a DeLorean. I know that question is like
Oh, that's
almost
such a
last
good
on
car.
the page.
I
definitely
would
want a
take
DeLorean.
one. I would take one too. I mean, it's not the best sports car ever, but I mean, it's so iconic that I would take one. I think
It's not the
Yeah.
best until you LS swap it.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
Use
I
that
wouldn't
or
even do
case
that.
swap it. You can case swap it now.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of swap options for that car that would actually make it, a supercar like it should have been.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. It's an interesting car. I think for me,
Yeah.
we're totally off. But whatever, it's cars. Probably like the white Testarossa,
From
Miami Vice.
Oh, Miami
Yeah.
Vice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty sick too.
Yeah.
pretty iconic. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, for sure.
I've got
for
to.
sure.
I got to keep mine under wraps.
Yes, he's not allowed to talk
What
about it
Knight Rider
anymore.
kit car?
Knight Rider kit car. Yeah, there you go.
That would probably be my favorite one from my childhood.
Yeah.
Nice.
Knight Rider.
Yeah.
That was my ringtone. I think back
Oh,
in
really?
the early 2000s.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I know. We've asked a lot of when we have someone who's interested in movies on a show. We've asked them this question: what is your favorite Batmobile?
Oh, that's
Because like that can get in
Oh.
deep.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think the one that Christian Bale drove.
The Tumbler.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought that one was pretty badass.
Yeah. That's the one that Warner Brothers is now selling 10,
Yeah.
10 of
They're
them.
making 10 replica, fully functional tumblers
Yeah.
for $3 million. Just
Damn.
announced last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
a little too rich for my blood, but if I
Yeah.
had money, I would buy it.
Us too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know that- yeah.
Kind of interesting.
That's sick.
Totally just drew a blank. I was going to ask something, but anyway.
Okay.
Hate it when that happens. So on back to your career a little bit, I as I was browsing that, I saw the show 13 Reasons Why.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What episode are you in? Or is it multiples?
Oh, it's multiples.
Okay.
That was actually my first job ever in acting, was
Really?
season
Really?
3 of 13 Reasons Why.
Oh.
Yeah. And I got to give props to that show because they knew we were all green, because this was a Northern California show. And a lot of the kids, a lot of the high school students you see on there had never acted before in their lives.
Oh, awesome.
And so they came out with like lists of what to do, what not to do, how to dress. You know, wardrobe was amazing. I cut my teeth on acting, and I am forever grateful
That is
for
so
having
cool.
that experience.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I want to say I was in maybe almost every single episode in season 3 and 4, and especially the prom at the end of season 4. That was so much fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. I had never.
just such a great experience.
Yeah, I've seen that on Netflix, but I've never watched it. And then last night I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and start watching it. That's actually a really good show.
That way you didn't get any sleep last night? You
Yeah.
just binged the entire
I
thing?
binged. Yeah, I binged.
It's a really good show.
It is.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
It can take you to a few places.
Yeah.
But the kids on that show were so amazing. And, a lot of the main actors, that was kind of their first exposure to the big time, so to speak. And so some of my friends who worked on it all 4 years, they saw those lead actors go from kind of like shy and quiet to be like, oh, okay, we've arrived. And but they never had like horrible attitudes. There was never any like divas on set, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
good.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I'll finish watching that.
Would you say that's probably your most memorable time acting is with that show, or do you have any others that like really made an impact on you?
That show was the one I made the most friends with, and along with the crew, so that was pretty awesome. But I think there was another 2 that I was like, I can't even believe this is my life right now. So I was an extra very, very briefly, blink and you'll miss me, in Matrix 4. And so I saw Keanu Reeves.
Nice.
And the crowds that would gather when they knew he was filming, because we were downtown in the financial district in San Francisco, and it was a 3-day job. And the first day, nobody was there. The second day, they had to put up gates because TMZ let it slip that this is where Keanu Reeves is going to be. They're filming Matrix 4. And it was insane. And so that was when some other friends as background were playing cops and snipers and stuff like that. And so I had this idea. I'm like, okay, Tom, he was all dressed up. He's like 6'4", huge guy. I'm like, act like you're protecting me and my friend. And so he did. And then people were just putting their cell phones in your face, like thinking you were famous, and just it was a little crazy. Yeah,
That's
it was
funny.
a little crazy, but that one was a lot of fun. And then Venom 2 was a lot of fun too, with Woody Harrelson is literally the nicest guy on the planet.
Really?
That's
So,
good to hear.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was super cool to see him. And Tom Hardy is very short.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's like my height, which I didn't expect, because he's a big guy. He's like built,
Yeah.
but he's very, very petite at the same time.
It's all
so
in
that
the
was interesting.
It's all in the camera angles.
It's how you present and carry
absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Unless you're Kevin Hart, and then you're just short.
Oh my gosh, yes, Kevin Hart. I've worked with him on a commercial, and he's shorter than I am. And they had to give him almost a booster seat when
Oh,
he went
really?
to sit down. They had a cushion.
Oh,
The
But
Rock.
he was also
loves
a
to
very nice guy.
I like
He has
Kevin
kind of
Hart.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a bit of a bad rap, but he was extremely nice to everybody on set. So I'm like, I usually like to wait until I see someone in person
Yeah.
before I believe all the crazy stories. And I'm sure
That's
he's
fair.
had his bad days. Everybody has, but
Yeah.
yeah, he was super cool.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I get that. All right. Well, thank you for letting us fan out a little bit. That was kind of cool.
Oh, of course. I love talking about it.
Okay, cool. In that case, what's it actually like being on a set and doing that? I mean, I've never talked to anybody that's been in a TV show or movie or anything. Like, is it like?
Like, what's day
Do they
one?
herd you around, or is it? I don't know. It's like be here, be
It's
there. I don't
actually
know.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're background, you're basically the lowest on,
Right.
the totem pole, so to
Right.
speak. And so you're in this little place called holding when they're not having you work.
Mhm.
And what's great about Northern California is that usually by the time you've been in the business for a few years, you're going to know at least a couple people. And so you kind of get paid to hang out. But when you're actually on set, it's literally, for me, it's one of the best feelings ever because you get to see all the heavy duty cameras and equipment, and you get to see these guys work. And the crews, I've never been on a set where the crew has been like lazy. Like they all have a job, they all know what to do, and they get it done.
Nice.
And so for me, it's super cool to see that. And then, during lunch, you can kind of maybe go up to one or two of them and say, kind of like the car thing, like, man, that camera is cool. Tell me about it, and just make friends from there. So yeah, so I've got a bunch of friends on crew, like props and stuff like that. So it's
awesome.
been, but there's an energy, like you definitely feel that energy. It's not, to me, it's not boring. I think it's one of those things like you either love it or you hate it. And obviously I love it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to the masses because we've never experienced it. It's kind of that magic behind the curtain. We never get to see that kind of stuff or hear about it. So, it's really interesting. And for you, to be able to see the equipment and that, I think it feels like it harkens back to the project car because you're into the mechanics of it. It's like, how does it all work and all that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's really
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. And I've also done precision driving for film and TV too.
Okay.
And so that's a lot of fun as well.
I was going to ask about that. So it does play into your, like, this is almost 2 careers in one here. So tell us about precision driving.
I love it because on that hand, because a lot of times the only thing bad about sets is they're usually freezing cold. And so when you're in your car, you can run the heater, so you're a lot more comfortable. You have your snacks with you. But yeah, what they usually do is give you a walkie-talkie and then they just say, okay, Rachel, go. Okay, Joe, go. And so whenever you're watching TV and there's like traffic or a car drives by, that's not like a random person. That's someone who was basically paid to drive by as they're running this scene. So yeah, it's just, a lot of people who do it love it. Some people just, it's not for them. Yeah. But I figure, even if my car gets damaged, I don't really care because, they're not that nice. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to bring your own car for that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Some of them, especially if it's a period piece, like sometimes they'll ask for cars under 2010 or they'll be like, okay, newer cars this time. There was one movie that filmed a couple years ago and it's not out yet and I can't wait to see it, but it's called Freaky Tales and it was set in the early 80s. And so for them, some of the precision drivers got to drive rented cars. And unfortunately, I wasn't picked for that. But, it's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they got to drive like these really big boats from the 70s, like Pontiacs and stuff like that. And I was like, damn, I would have loved to do that.
Yeah,
but it was also pouring rain. So
how do they pick drivers for that? Like, do you just sign up and they just look through what you've previously done? Or do they see like your experiences in terms of track driving or how is that done?
Honestly, it seems like they do it by the seat of their pants. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason. If you fit the look, they're going to hire you. And so I guess if you look like you belong in that big 70s boat, they're going to be like, okay, you're hired.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I've got a pretty good reputation now. My prop guy is always talking me up to literally everybody on set, always about driving. He's like, oh, she can actually drive. She can actually parallel park, blah, blah, blah. And so I do get hired a lot based on the merit from other people saying, oh, no, she's good.
Making friends in the industry. Can't hurt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Always good to make connections.
Absolutely. That's cool. Okay. We'll shift back to Project Cars now. I got it.
I had more movie questions.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask.
You can do movies with that time.
Is there, is there any projects you're currently applied to that you could tell us about in terms of movies or any of that franchise you're looking forward to, auditioning for or being in?
Right now, unfortunately, it's a slow time. There's still a lot of commercials being filmed, but I've got so many conventions still coming up and shows to go to, So I haven't really applied for much, but there's also supposed to be about 4 or 5 movies coming to the Bay Area early next year. And so I'm just going to be, as you can, tell, all over those and auditioning and submitting. So it's definitely, you got to have a little bit of luck on your side too.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of cool.
And I was also going to ask for anyone who's just starting out who has interest in getting into movies or getting into automotive with movies. What would you kind of advice would you give them, or where would you tell them to start out?
Well, there's a lot of good websites now, like casting agencies are all online. And so you don't need a manager. You don't need anything like that. I have one. She honestly hasn't done much for me. I'm always usually finding the jobs by myself. Mm-hmm. But SF Casting is a huge one. And I think there's like a casting basically for almost any city out there. And so, whatever city you're in, like portlandcasting.com, see if it's available, that kind of thing. And so that's where I find the bulk of my jobs. Another thing is you don't need professional headshots. Just take a good, clean close-up picture of your face in portrait mode on your phone. You can totally use that. That's what I used for the first couple of years when I was just starting out. And so there are definitely like budget-friendly ways to break into the business. Wow, and also, you don't need to be SAG right away. That's the one thing I regret. I would have definitely waited on joining SAG until
what
maybe
is
a couple
SAG?
years down the line.
Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Screen Actors Guild. So it's good as in you get more money, but they don't hire as many SAG people as they do non-union, which sucks. And so I see my non-union friends just working their butts off, and I'm just like, well, I'm happy for you, but man, this sucks.
No doubt.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
How do you balance between being an actress and also being a driver and working on project cars and helping out and running a business? Like, is it a fine line in your calendar, or what's your process?
Honestly, if I get an acting job, that's kind of priority. And if I do, even during the busy season, it's probably maybe like 1 or 2 acting jobs a week. And so I don't sleep a whole lot either. So, it's the kind of thing when you love what you do, it just feels like fun. And so I honestly don't look at any of it as work. And it's just, I enjoy what I do. And so if the business needs time, then I concentrate on that. If the car, obviously that's kind of the main thing we've been concentrating on all year is getting the damn car done. And so that's kind of been the bulk of it. But, again, it's nice to take a break here and there and just do something completely different too.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, especially, it's variety, right? So that's fun.
Yes.
To be able to do different things. I'm going to focus on this week or, however long that takes. That's really neat. So you said that there's opportunity coming to the Bay Area. Do you focus mostly on regional work, or do you reach out into other areas to try to get work too?
For now, for the last few years, it was so crazy busy in the North Bay that I didn't really have to look elsewhere. Next year, I'm almost thinking about submitting to a few jobs down in LA, just because I've been back and forth so frequently now. It is only an hour flight. So I'll probably look into at least getting a couple jobs down there. And I have a bunch of people I know down there who have been like, Rachel, you got to come down here. Come on already. So, because I know they work like crazy down there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a whole nother look of stuff that I didn't know we were going down that rabbit hole today. But thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, I do want to go back to cars for a minute, though.
Sure.
I wanted to ask if you were going to take on a project, not saying that you're gonna or whatever, but if you were going to take on a project car, what kind of car would it be? Would you go domestic? Would you go JDM? And would it be like something super fancy? Where would you be at?
Well, I mean, the hatchback, itself has been like a total project car. But next, I kind of want to bring the 67 Fastback back to life, the Mustang. And I think it would be really, really nice to work on a domestic where, there's a lot more space in those engine bays.
You'd be like, this is amazing.
I know. So you can almost do it in your sleep. And so I think that's definitely the direction I'm heading to next, is probably work on that Mustang.
Okay.
That's cool. That is really cool. Are you a purist? Would you take it completely back to original, or are you resto mod?
At this point, okay, the outside of the car is definitely staying. I am not a fan of the Eleanor, the crazy, like SEMA builds, I'm going to call them. Like, the outside of the car needs to look like a Mustang, like an old school Mustang.
Sure.
But I am not opposed to putting in like a Coyote or, something completely different in the engine bay. I honestly, I don't really like the sound of the Coyote motors, but, there's ways to work around it.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So under the hood, modified, but not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's still got to be like drivable.
Yeah. Don't want, 1,000 horsepower boosted where you can't even get into the car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've seen cars like that, and I've had friends build cars like that, and then it just sits in the garage, where it gets trailered to shows.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of been our rule: is anything we buy or build, we have to be able. Well, I mean, the hatchback kind of breaks that now. I'm going to need a trailer, but the rest of the cars, whatever we get, they have to be drivable. We can't be scared to drive them.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So, where do you stand on electric vehicles?
I am not a fan.
I just threw up in my mouth.
You guys are looking at me like you actually asked that question. What are you doing? What happened? Yeah, that's fine. No, that's a good answer. That's okay by me. I am not a fan myself. I tend to walk the other direction. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. And yeah, you save a lot of money, not having to put in as much gas and just plugging in and stuff. But again, it's not so much all that, but it's like we live in we live in an area prone to wildfires.
Oh, yeah.
And let's say you forget to plug your car in, or the power's out.
Yep.
You're screwed, man.
Yeah.
How are you going to leave?
Well, I was wondering about
that's
that.
kind of the other thing.
Yeah, something about, California, rolling blackouts, this, that, and the other thing, but yet you're going to force people into an electric car. Mm-hmm. How does that work?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's not. There are so many car people here, and it's like it's one of the richest states. Yeah. And so if nobody, or if only a few people want to drive Teslas and all that crap, sure, let them. But I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to enforce only electric cars by 2035 or something like that.
Something like that.
It's not feasible. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't think it will either. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're having a hard time even selling them right now. Things are starting to roll back.
I think it's good to give people the option, but just don't force it down someone.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what California is doing right now, right?
Trying to.
They still have the ruling.
They haven't repealed it yet.
2030, everybody has to.
20, 30, or 35.
Rachel, do you feel the same about hybrids then? Or how do you feel about hybrids?
Hybrids, they're kind of different. I've actually owned one. It was the not the Bolt. It was the Volt. I had a commute to make that was 45 minutes, and so it got me into the carpooling. But honestly, that was the only reason why I got it, so I could go in the carpool. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't bad. They have a ton of torque, which is kind of cool. So even though you don't see people racing right off the line because most people don't care who drive those cars.
Right.
I had a little bit of fun with it, but again, it was weird because of the heavy batteries and the gas tank. It felt off to me, the chassis felt heavy, and so it was not a cornering beast, even though it was kind of like a bit of a compact car.
Yeah.
And so I would probably never drive another one.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the Volt I don't think was definitely not a high performance thing.
Yeah.
That thing didn't even it was pretty limited mileage on electric only, wasn't it? Pretty low.
It was. It had, I want to say, about 130 miles, 140 miles on electric, and then about the same on gas. And so for me, my commute, it was only maybe about 20 miles. And so I was able to go almost the whole week, almost without having to plug back in. Uh-huh. And so that was kind of cool, or buying gas. So that was a good feature.
Yeah.
But again, to me, I want to have fun in my car. I want to enjoy what I drive, and it's not something I enjoy driving.
I'm with you.
So
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rachel, the other thing I was going to ask, we talked a lot about different types of cars. One I noticed you haven't brought up a lot was European cars. And I wanted to know your thoughts on those brands, like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of experience with them. I have friends who freaking love their GTIs, their Benzes, and all that, and I appreciate them. I've just haven't really gotten into that area yet. I've been so busy with the Toyotas and Hondas, and then the Mustangs and stuff. But I do absolutely love the older Mercedes. Oh gosh, I'm so rusty on what engines all that. But
Jeremy
there
might
were some
know.
pretty cool ones. Yeah, like the ones that look like the gangster cars from like the 80s and 90s. I really, really like those.
That's
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on like supercars and hypercars and that kind of market?
Those are fun too. Back in the day when I was a kid, I was always like Team Lamborghini. And so I'm still kind of like Lamborghini over Ferrari. Although I would love a Ferrari Dino. I absolutely love the Dinos. And
good choice.
As far as thank you. And as far as Lamborghinis, if someone were to toss a purple Diablo at me, I would be all over that.
That's cool.
But
That was
you
speak of that real fast. That was the first Lamborghini I ever saw was a purple Diablo back in the day.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're amazing. There's one that comes to Car Week every year, and I managed to see it on the road. And one of these days, he's going to be parked somewhere, and I'm going to be like, dude, just either take me for a ride, let me sit in your car, something. This car is so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that kind of leads into something I wanted to ask. We ask everybody this. Give us your top 3 vehicles that you would like to drive someday. Not necessarily own. You don't need to own it. Just want to drive it.
Okay, well, absolutely. It's so funny because that's the only part of your notes that I made notes because it's such a hard question for me and I wanted to take time.
Awesome.
And so what I actually do have on the list is that purple Diablo. I really want to drive that someday. In F50, I would honestly like to drive.
Nice.
A Ferrari F50.
Yep.
And
very good choice.
you guys are going to laugh at this. A Taurus SHO. I just want to know what it feels like.
Yes.
I have like the
So
base
much
model
yes.
Taurus.
I do laugh at that because that's ridiculous.
Are we talking like the early 90s show or are we talking like the 2014 show? Because either one's amazing.
Yes.
They actually had some giddy up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they did, but it's such a grandpa car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But I hear it was such a sleeper. I mean, I think it had like a different bumper with like fog lights. Like it's really, really fuzzy to me. But, I made that little Taurus because first it was an 88 Mercury Sable and then my parents had an 89 Taurus they let me take out. And it was the biggest POS ever. But I'm like, the SHO had to have been a lot faster and a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So I think there was actually a Ford Granada in the 80s
Ooh.
that
Sounds
had a
familiar.
5.0 motor in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was based on
Yes.
the Mustang.
That might be a good junkyard find right there.
Yeah.
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 That's true.
Yeah.
So, I got to know, Rachel, you said you're more of a Lamborghini girl, but then you just said a Ferrari F50. And that's a very specific car. So where did that come from?
That actually, you're gonna laugh because I have a friend with an F40 who drives it like it's a Civic. Like literally, the first time I saw it was parked on a side street in San Francisco, and so I got to know him, and he let me drive it.
Nice.
And it was pretty damn cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot of people get to drive an F40,
No.
and so. I've only seen a couple F50s in person at like Car Week or the Peterson, but I don't know anybody that has an F50 personally. And so I'm kind of hoping if I think about it long and hard enough or send it out there into the universe, someone will be like, oh
Could
yeah,
happen.
Rachel, you can drive my F50.
Yeah. There's a couple up in Oregon. I'm. Our podcast knows that I'm the Ferrari guy. So, like,
Nice.
yeah, there's. But yeah, up in Oregon, there's a few, so we'll have to get you in contact with some of these people.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
You haven't gotten me in one yet. Mine's an F40. I want to drive an F40 really bad.
That's where being little and cute helps out.
Oh yeah, I don't have that nailed.
You got the little part down.
I got the little part, not so cute. Ouch! Ouch!
You got the hair twirling. Like, man, I really like your car.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dang it. All right. Well, what 3 cars would you like to own?
Yes.
Money's
Okay,
no object. Just want to own it someday.
Okay, obviously, number 1, DeLorean, just because.
Like it.
Because, absolutely love. I'd love to own a lowrider of some kind. I'm super into lowriders. I'm having a lowrider moment.
Like an Impala kind of lowrider?
Like a 64 Impala or like a Monte Carlo, just like something really, really badass and unexpected.
Ford Galaxy 500.
Oh, there you go.
I was just
there you go.
Lincoln Continental.
Yes.
That would be sick.
We had a Connie for a while,
Really?
and we just had too many projects. We had to sell it, but we had a 63 Lincoln Continental in dark green. It was sick.
Oh, that's cool. That's one car I eventually want to have one day. Mainly because of Entourage influenced me on that, but
Yeah. Is that the suicide doors?
Suicide doors.
Suicide doors. I
Just-
love that.
It's looks like a fun
So
car to go
cool.
around town. Just you don't have to go
Yeah.
fast. Just arrive somewhere.
Yeah.
With your
Oh my
buddies.
gosh.
Just sick. There
Totally.
is one of those around here. I saw it this summer. Guy just out cruising with his chick. Suicide doors. The thing is just slammed. It was
Yes.
on 20s. Man, that car was
Was
sick.
was the front window
Oh, they're
tinted?
so
I
beautiful.
don't think so.
Yeah, and you hardly see them now too.
Right.
There's
Oh,
not
you
a whole
don't.
lot of them out there. So
Yeah.
they're definitely a head turner.
It's also because they're so big. It's hard to find a spot to put them where they don't rust or get in the rain or elements because
Gotta have a
they're
big
bigger than
garage.
the Excursion.
Yeah,
Big
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah.
that's
No,
a good point.
That's a good list. I like that list. I think you
Thank
know what's
you.
coming next, though. Which one's your hard no?
I think you guys already know that one. Anything electric.
Well,
Nice.
all right. Well, that's
Okay.
valid. Yep, that's good. So,
Well, okay, we'll narrow it down between two. I will never drive a Tesla, and I will never drive a Prius.
Okay.
So there you
I
go.
like that. Yeah.
It starts with a T and ends with an Esla.
Yeah, exactly. No,
pretty
thank
good.
you.
Well, what are your feelings on a PT Cruiser?
Oh, hell no. Are you crazy?
Oh,
Oh man.
yep. Just put a.
Just throwing that out there.
Just throwing it out there.
It was so funny because when those first came out, they were cool for like 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then it was just after that, it was like, oh no. Kind of like the Plymouth Prowler. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Same.
But what's
It's
up
in the
with
same boat.
I think the Prowler would be decent if it had a V8
At least a
and
V8.
and a manual option, which people
Yeah.
have modified.
Yeah.
But that's my only get up with it. They put an economy V6 in it.
They missed
Come
the
on.
mark.
I know.
They really missed
Yeah.
the mark.
Yeah.
That could have been a supercar, put at least a V8.
Exactly.
Maybe the Viper V10 in that thing.
Yeah,
Honestly.
well, that would have been
Oh.
badass.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a car, right?
Yeah.
Because it had pretty decent looks. It looked pretty cool,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
not there. Yeah. It's kind of,
Exactly.
that's a bummer.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my issues with the Prowler too. I'm like, how could they put a V6 in that? Come on.
I know, just missed
Yeah,
the mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you at least agreed on the PT Cruiser.
Yo, for sure.
I got to ask, what's in your opinion the ultimate worst form of the PT Cruiser? Is it just a plain one? Is it one that's like completely riced out with with stickers everywhere? Is it the woody convertible?
Woody convertible.
What do you think?
Oh my god.
The purple one.
I forgot
Purple
about the
Woody.
convertibles. I think it's kind of a toss up between the convertible version because you look like you're driving a bucket,
Mhm.
and then the total riced out ones because it's like you put more money into that thing. What were you thinking?
Right?
But the spinners, man, look at them go.
I saw one last week with a hood scoop.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You got to make more power for that turbo.
Yeah.
I like that comment. You put more money into that.
You
So
could have
good.
had another car for that, you know?
No
you could
doubt.
have just like condensed and yeah.
Mhm.
What were you drinking that day?
Man.
Yes,
Hope
absolutely.
that Kool-Aid was good. Oh, all right. Well, how are we doing on time? Are you good for a few more minutes?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So we were discussing tools basically, and I kind of want to ask you what's your setup like? You work on your own cars, you and your husband. Like, what do you do? Do you have a good sized garage, a shop? Do you do the lift thing? Do you have all the tools you need, or do you kind of use what you have and make it work?
Kind of all the above.
Yeah.
Like my husband's been working on cars for more than half his life, actually. And so he already had a pretty good set. We have a bunch of tools. I'm sponsored by Weehaw, and they're always sending me tools, which is
Nice.
awesome.
What's Weehaw?
My husband had an addiction with Snap-on back in the day. So
Oh, don't get me on
Still paying
Snap-on.
them
Well,
off.
we're gonna start. we're gonna go there.
Okay.
I know. It's like the truck pulls up and you just know it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't bring my credit card today. No problem. We've got it on file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The winery has my credit card.
We definitely have. We still buy a few new tools as the projects come up because there's always going to be that one project where you need just one tool for it, and then you're never going to use it again.
Yeah.
And maybe it's one you can't rent. So we have a bunch of those weird tools. We also have a bed and pack lift in our shop. It's mostly a hobby shop. We don't work on other people's cars. Maybe it's very, very rare that one of my friends will be like, I'm having trouble. Can you at least look at it? Mm-hmm. And so we'll kind of look at, maybe a couple of our friends' cars. Yep. But for us, it's just a way to kind of bond even closer, with these project cars and to be able to work on them. And we also love like vintage arcade games. And so the warehouse is full of those. And we're crazy.
I'm trying to do that myself. Put some arcade games.
Grant is just loving you right now. He's just over the top.
That's actually my next winter project.
I can't talk about the arcade.
No.
Okay.
No. You can talk about your tool addiction.
I can talk about tools. I can't talk about arcades.
Yes. Grant had something he wanted to say about tools, and I want to get your input on it, Rachel.
So my thought was is there ever a point where you feel like a brand is worth completely swapping? So like for me, for example, I have Snap-on. I've got mixture tools, but most of my smaller battery ones are Snap-on, or my electric stuff is Snap-on. And I'm getting at this point just kind of fed up with the quality as well as the customer service with it, and I'm looking to swap over to Milwaukee because I already have an investment in some of that. But has that ever been an issue with you or your husband where it's like, we've used this brand and it's not the same as it's been in years, or, where it's like, we found tools that are just do the job way better?
Sure. Oh, of course. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, obviously with Snap-on, they can be amazing, but they're just sometimes prohibitively expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And you can get so many more tools for the price of maybe one of their ratchets.
Yep.
And so for me, we kind of have a nice blend. Like, obviously, we have a bunch of Snap-on. We have, like, a shit ton of Weehaw. I love Tecton for their ratchets. Mm-hmm. Those are super cool. And as far as electric, I am a huge Milwaukee fan. I love Milwaukee. We have drills that go back 20, 25 years and they still work great.
Yeah.
So big proponent of Milwaukee. Yeah. And it's funny because it's like people either kind of go DeWalt or Milwaukee, or I think there's like one more, but I'm Milwaukee.
So,
hands down.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If you're with Team Milwaukee, you probably didn't hear about this, but I went to the Milwaukee booth at SEMA and got them to listen to my idea, which I was talking to their lead product designer. They're going to look into it. They're opening up the case for a coffee maker again.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so pretty excited for that. Keep your eye out for that one. But I wanted your thoughts. What do you think of if Milwaukee makes one?
I would buy one.
Right?
Yeah, everybody we talk to is like, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm taking it to the track.
Literally, exactly. You can take it to the track, on your pit bike, like, hey, you want some coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that idea.
It's a great idea. You bet.
And then on top of that, I went to everyone in their booth and just asked every employee. I'd hear this spiel and be like, hey, what do you think of a coffee maker? So I'll make sure that, the whole Milwaukee booth was talking about it by the end of SEMA.
That is hysterical. I love that.
Yeah, he definitely. I would like to really hear their conversations later on.
Yeah.
Hey, did that guy come talk to you? Yeah, he did.
Do you guys remember that weird guy coming to talk to us about coffee?
It would have been the guy in the orange shirt.
Yeah,
the cone. Did the cone come talk to you about the coffee maker?
He was very animated. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was pretty good. But I don't know, the Snap-on stuff that you want to move away from. Well, Grant wants to move away from Snap-on. I get it, especially with the electrics. Like, the stuff's going to wear out. It's going to die. Yeah. It's not like your hand tools, not your ratchets and wrenches and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of misunderstood that when you first brought it up.
Yeah, because like the batteries will wear out, and you can always send in tools to get refurbished. And Snap-on has a pretty good price on that at $100-something to get it sent in brought back. And the problem I have had with doing that is, like, for example, my torque wrench, $700 torque wrench. The reason I bought their electric torque wrenches because if I'm working on something that requires precision, I want the best of the best. I don't want to snap a head bolt. I don't want to do this. Yeah. I got it back working on a project this week that needed to, and had to stop project halfway because the thing went blank screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I was like,
no.
it just got back. And this,
Ugh.
I've had it where we've sent tools out and they've been like, I've actually had other mechanics lose their tools from Snap-on. Like, we lost your order.
Oh,
We're not sure.
geez.
Yeah. And it's like, if it was the hand tools, I'd agree. I can understand. You already have them. Why not? But if electric, it's like, do you put more money into this, or for the money, like say for $100 refreshment, just take that and go buy Milwaukee?
Honestly, I would just go by Milwaukee
Yeah.
and say, okay, snap on. It's been nice. Take care. Because, with Milwaukee, all the batteries are rechargeable. You
Yep.
can always buy one just to kind of, take along with you, like a portable one. And just, that's kind of my thing.
On top of that, the biggest thing that I like about Milwaukee is the amount of products they build is out of this world. Like it
yeah.
covers
It really is.
like everything under the sun.
It's kind of nuts.
And their batteries.
They know
are
what they
similar,
do.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have Makita stuff right at the house, and as that
Oh,
stuff dies,
that's the third one I couldn't think of. But
Yeah.
it's usually between the big three. You rarely hear someone saying, "Oh, I bought a Snap-on drill," because it's like, holy shit, what did that cost you?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
and who builds it for them, right? Because I can't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't believe that they would
Oh,
build
that's a
their
good
own.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Blue Point, that's where it comes from, and then you got to figure out where Blue Point comes from. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
3 levels deep, no doubt.
yeah,
I'm certainly not going to throw my Snap-on stuff away
yeah,
until it's
God,
broken.
no.
You know.
yeah. What?
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about it's Weebco?
It's Weehaw.
Weehaw. I've
So-
never heard of
Weehaw.
that tool brand.
In the elevator industry, we use a lot of their screwdrivers.
Okay.
But
Nice.
yeah, I wasn't aware that they had much more than that. Like, do they have full sets and that kind of stuff too?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to their site, they're a really, really neat company. So they're based in Germany, and I
Okay.
believe they have another factory in Ohio. And so, they literally have a full set. They also have drills and all that. They have like the foam trays they're just now coming out with, which if you want to stay organized is, obviously key.
Definitely key.
They're to me, they're up and coming still. It's like a lot of people have heard of them, but still a lot of people are like, Weehaw, the hell is that?
Yeah, what are you
But-
talking about? What are you saying to me right
Exactly.
So I think
But
the
I-
electrical trades uses them.
now? Yeah, they are insulated tools.
Yes,
Yep.
they have
Yes.
really good insulated tools.
Yep. That's
They
why
really
we
do.
use them in elevators.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they have like those nice soft foam grips, or they have the harder ones where, oil doesn't stick to it. So they've thought of it. They're a German company. They've thought of like everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did that sponsorship come about, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. So about 5 years ago, I decided to start up a YouTube channel, and it's called R&D Garage. And my thought on it was basically, it was kind of a channel for women who were scared about working on their own cars, like basic maintenance, oil changes, changing tires, like all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And then it kind of evolved into like modifications and how to drag race and like kind of tutorial videos.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so I would be, it was so much fun. And I'd be working on the cars and explaining what I do at the same time.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
so after the first couple videos, Weehaw actually reached out to me on Instagram, was like, hey, we've noticed your channel. We've noticed you. We kind of want to build our brand along with yours.
Oh my gosh.
And do you mind if we send you some tools? And I'm like, oh my God, of course. And so now I'm kind of like this honorary ambassador. And I'd say they send me packages maybe 7 or 8 times a year with some
That's
really
awesome.
cool stuff.
That's friggin'
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
That is so neat.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I'm just so thankful.
Is are you still doing that channel?
I am. Right now, I had planned to do the whole build of the Hatchie, but it was just like, okay, if we start filming at the same time we're working on the car, it's going to take 3 years to build this damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now I kind of do mostly shorts, like, walk around the cars from SEMA and all that kind of stuff. But I want to say over 4,100 people as subscribers, and I've got about, I think, close to 300 videos on there.
Nice.
And
That's
it's everything
awesome.
from, it's super cool. I mean, you guys should totally check it out if you want to.
We definitely
It's
will.
got like the FJ,
Plug
the
the
Ford
cha-
truck,
Plug the
Yeah.
channel. What's the name of it?
R&D Garage.
R&D Garage.
Okay.
I'll grab that link from you after the show.
Yeah.
And it's actually in my bio too. So if
Oh,
you go to my
perfect,
link
perfect.
tree, the
Yeah.
channel is right there.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really cool. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Sorry. got distracted. I was going to ask you, because we're talking about project cars and stuff. Where do you guys go to get most of your parts? And like, where would you recommend people to go? Because like I saw you at Pick and Pull on your Instagram
She's a
post.
pick and puller.
Like, is that a good source to get much of stuff, or do you go to Summit or eBay, or like how does that come about?
Pretty much all of the above. You know, especially with these older cars, you can't just go to the factory and request them now because a lot of them don't stock the parts for these early 90s cars. And so Pick and Pull is kind of my place to go when I need like a cap or a cover or like, you know, something that you know you're not going to find elsewhere. eBay is a big source as well. Definitely Summit, definitely Jegs, definitely some of like the import places out there. JHP USA, that's a huge one. Skunk 2 Racing, like I could go on and on. There's just, well, when I say I'm not loyal to like one company, you can't be these days. If you're working on a project car, you have to be flexible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was kind of going to bring that up. It's like, do you type in what you want online, and then one, who has the best price, and then two, is there companies that there's maybe only one or two providers of any given part that you got to have?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's definitely that, and now there's a couple people coming out with like reproduction parts. So it can be kind of cool that those are available. But at the same time, you know, I still worry a little bit about quality of those parts.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you like kind of try it out, see how it goes. And it'd be one thing if the car was just going to be like my daily driver or something, but the fact that it's going to be on track and you don't want something exploding when you're in the middle of the carousel at Sonoma. You know?
Not a good feeling.
Anything you put on track, you're putting your life into. So you got to make sure you have it, every nut and bolt linked together. I mean, look at Niki Lauda. The car exploded in 1976 due to, I think it was a single nut blowing on his control arm, on the rear control arm. You know, and something just as simple as that can cause catastrophic failures.
Oh yeah. So it's nuts.
Have you noticed in the Japanese domestic market that it's let's see, how do I phrase it? Some of the stuff for the domestic stuff took a long time to come back around, but then now with the resurgence of restoration projects and this and that, there's more manufacturers remanning or building new parts that weren't previously available. Are you starting to see that in the JDM stuff too?
They're not as much as domestic still, but there's a company that I follow and absolutely love. They're called Built by Legends, and they're in Japan. And what they can do, and this is like prohibitively expensive for me. Like someday if I win the lottery, I'm totally going to do this. But they'll find you like an EG shell, like, you know, like my little car, or a Skyline R32, R34, and they will tear it down and build it just impeccably. So it's basically like a concourse car.
I actually
bolt for bolt.
I actually know the shop you're talking about. There's I think Donut had a really in-depth video on their shop like this up last year or so. Yeah. But yeah, no, that shop is amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It was
no, not at all. You're good. So
that's starting to happen more and more. I was just curious because as they age, you know, it becomes almost impossible to find those parts that you're trying to put your car back together with. You know, eventually, if the car is popular enough, maybe like your Acura or whatnot. I'm sorry that it's 30 years old, but you know, those parts are harder to find. So, you know, if it's a really sought after vehicle, somebody's going to say, you know what, I can build that part. I can CNC those parts or whatever, or maybe
3D print.
3D print it, maybe something like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good business if someone finally takes the initiative and does a whole lot of that. Like, you know, the domestics coming out with the full on brand new chassis and bodies and stuff like that. I mean, you still have to find obviously a VIN number off of an old car for that. So I think that might be the only kind of hindrance,
right?
But I totally welcome it. I would drive a brand new 90 Integra.
Man, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Oh, that'd be sick.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So you mentioned also Pick and Pull and, you know, I don't know, salvage yards maybe. How far will you go to get a part?
It all depends. Luckily, I'm in an area where there's definitely a lot of pick and pulls within 2 hours of me.
Oh yeah.
So we have one that's about 20 minutes away, and that's the one that I pretty much post vet all the time. And of course, being in California, we're lucky that even if the cars are sitting out, obviously this rainstorm we're having now is not typical.
Yeah.
And so the cars are barely rusty. It's easy to get parts off of. But if I have to go a ways, even to Sacramento, it's worth it. So just to kind of walk through the yard. And the ones in Sacramento are absolutely huge. It doesn't take maybe, I don't know, more than a half hour to walk around the pick and pull in our area in Windsor.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and luckily we do still get a lot of like 90s cars there, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, and you're right. You've got the climate that at least those cars are, unless they were imported from someplace that was wet, probably in pretty decent shape
Yeah.
as far as rust goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much
it's not
around
that
here.
bad.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because we get a lot of rain. Like we have a pick and pull that I've actually in Tualatin. Part of their yard actually gets underwater, and so you gotta. Some of it's good if you can get it early, but like in the winter it floods. And it's like, okay, top part of the car is great. Some of them not on the bottom.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
We have a
Yeah.
lot of junkyards around here too. I mean,
Well, it makes it nice because you can get your project cars built. I mean, there's a lot of still good cars there and a lot of modded cars with fun stuff.
Yes.
yeah. I don't know. The
Yeah,
stuff that
that's
I'm
true.
looking for is not typically at a junkyard.
Yeah.
I mean-
you had to travel far for your last one.
I will go to great lengths to buy parts. So I'm building a 67 GMC. We might as well work this in now. But,
Sick.
yeah, but it's a special build. I'm putting it on a C5 chassis.
Ooh, interesting.
So
Okay.
I drove to California. That was a 20-hour round trip to get the transmission, the transaxle and the front end of the car. So I did that. And then just recently, I found the motor that I'm putting in it, which is a Viper V10.
Sick. Okay.
And that was a 13-hour round trip.
Gotta be specific on the year and the size. There's a lot of V10s.
That's an 06,
I hear
8.3
that.
liter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on what you're looking for, it's a thing. Like how dedicated are you? And I don't know, those Viper motors don't come up that often.
No, they
I
don't.
don't
No,
super trust the
that's true.
stuff on eBay,
Yeah,
And so for me to be able to find one that the guy had put a bigger motor yet in his Viper, so he was selling the stock one. So I was like, that's
Wow.
cool. Yeah, and it only has 20,000 miles on it, so
Jeez,
it's a
brand
good
new.
find.
Yeah.
It's a good find. So
That's true. I did fly down to SoCal to pick up my transmission, and I drove home with it. So
Yeah.
I guess that kind of counts. That's about the furthest I've gone for a part so far.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you do. I think if you find a good deal and it's the right thing, I mean,
yeah.
everybody's got their
It's worth
limits, right? But I don't know.
Did you ever had a time where you have to go to a salvage yard to try to find a part that's like impossible to find and took you God knows how many hours or months to find it?
Yeah, usually if it comes down to where I just can't find it, I usually try to fab it somehow.
Okay.
Because I know I'm going to drive myself nuts if I keep looking. And it's usually after you finish building the part you need, that's when you find it. of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I haven't had like serious issues so far, but life is still kind of young, so it could happen.
Yeah, yeah. You'll find that part that you've got to drive 20 hours round trip for.
Oh, absolutely.
Or
I did that for a car.
Yeah.
We have a VTEC Mini, and when we first bought the Mini, it was just a regular Mini. I think it was like oh God, I don't even know what CC it was. So terrible. Never buy anything Mini. But we found it in Glendale down in SoCal, and I had an '08 brand new Mini at the time. The first year the turbo, God, that car was a piece of crap too. But we ended up driving down, and we had a couple dogs that we didn't want to kennel. And so I don't know what the plan was, the whole thing. We were kind of young and stupid, but we drove all the way down to SoCal and back to NorCal on the same day. And so, it was like 20 hours. And we were coming back over the Richmond Bridge, and we had like walkie-talkies. And luckily my parents still live in Marin County in San Rafael. And so it was only going to be like 20 minutes to their house. And I got on the walkie. I'm like, I'm done. I've hit a brick wall. I can't I can't drive anymore. So we actually dropped off the old Mini at my parents', and then Dee drove the two of us back home to where we were.
Wow.
But yeah, that is something I will never do again, at least in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Well, yeah, I did both my trips in one day. 20 hours in driving in one day is a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
Yep. I don't know. The dumb things we do. I had to work the next day. I had to come home.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that.
Yeah. I know. It's always an excuse.
Yeah. Sunday was the only day I had available. So, yeah, I drove over to Idaho through
Crazy.
the pass, the snow, the crappy weather, dodging all the semi-trucks. But it was worth it.
I'm calling Rob every like 3 hours. I'm like, you make it? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we there yet?
Driving, yeah.
We there yet?
Still driving.
So I have flown into Idaho to drive a truck home.
Oh, I did that with my Corvette.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I did that with my Corvette. I flew into Vegas, rented a car, drove out to, what's that lake? Drawing a blank.
Tahoe.
No,
Dang it.
No.
I almost had it, and then, oh well. Anyway, so we picked up a Corvette down there and drove it home. I mean, it's a 26-hour drive home, but did it in 2 days. So not as.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great drive too.
Oh, I bet it was, especially in that new car. It's like, whoa, this is so cool.
Yeah, no, it was good. You know, you're driving through the desert back there, and really nobody's watching. So let's see how fast it'll go.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, only one speeding ticket on the way back.
Really?
Not
Oh,
bad.
that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Only one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me, so that was good.
That's even better.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of crazy. It's the crazy, weird things that we'll do for our project cars.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Poor people.
Have you guys
We're insane.
found any barn finds?
No, actually.
Okay. Is that a bucket list for you to find one?
Did. It would depend on what it was. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot left of them pretty soon.
Seems like it.
At least at like a good deal. You know, if someone offers me a Ferrari or a Porsche that I have to rebuild and it's only a couple K, like, yeah, I'll try my hand in it because, you know, you can always like resell it.
Yeah.
But even like, what car recently came up? Was it a burnt up Ferrari and it was still like 60K? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of not my
sounds
thing.
about Ferrari
like
money.
Spiders.
Yeah, I kind of ran into that. Like, it's hard to pass up those opportunities, but then there's times where sometimes they can be money pits. Like I bought a Lamborghini Countach for $300.
Oh, wow.
So
Holy
that
moly.
was hard to pass
To
up.
be fair, it's a kit car.
Fiero?
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's a kind of good kit.
Kind of good.
But yeah, you know, you get projects like that where it's like, this is cool. This is something you wouldn't see because it was literally in a barn.
Wow.
You know, and
I mean, I would have bought it for $300 too.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's kind of cool.
yeah.
Yeah. It is kind of cool. It needs to go now,
I
but
would have put zero effort into that thing and sold it.
I don't want it.
no, yeah, it needs to go.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I got to make it drivable first. It's almost there where it's drivable.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
All right, Rachel, we've taken up enough of your time. I sure do appreciate you talking to us about cars and your career and that kind of stuff. It's really been great to get to know you a little bit.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. I knew it was going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, you know, put me in a room with people that want to talk about cars. I'm there.
Heck yeah,
Hey.
that's awesome.
It
Yeah,
wasn't a hard sell.
Before you leave, do you want to hear the story about how I found you?
I
Yeah,
want to hear it.
definitely.
'Cause I'm-
Okay, so we ran into you, Grant and I did, down in
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas
Yes.
at the airport. And I walked over because I saw your suitcase with all the stickers on it, and I handed you a sticker and said, "Hey, do you want another sticker for your suitcase?" And you were like, "Yeah, sure," and immediately put it right on your suitcase and wandered off.
Of
right?
course.
So, like the next day, I'm back home and I'm surfing Instagram, and I'm like, "Oh man, these are really cool cars." Well, it was your yellow car, and I'm like,
Oh, no way.
"Yeah," I'm like, "Oh man, this is cool." And I started flipping through, and I'm like, "I know that suitcase.
Oh my gosh!
I know that suitcase." And then I'm like, "Who is this?"
Wow.
And I had no idea who you were when I gave you the sticker. And then I like, "Oh my God, This is my luck.
So rad. I love that. And it's so funny because we have like literally folders full of stickers. Like, you work on cars for over 20 years and your water heater only has so much room and like cabinets and stuff. And so I literally came up for that idea of putting stickers on my suitcase for SEMA because I figured anybody in the airport is going to look at me and go, oh, okay, clearly she's into cars. And then waiting in line I stay usually at the Westgate, and then everybody eyes the suitcase there, and I always get a comment or something. But it's like fun and cheerful, and so I'm like, okay. And my suitcase is hella old, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah,
that's
like,
awesome.
Okay,
I didn't even know that.
Thank you.
I knew the story of you gave her the sticker, but I didn't know who it was that you gave this. That's so funny.
I'm famous. How do you not know me?
Right? Yeah. Good grief. Wow.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah. Well, we do now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
That is so awesome. Well, yeah, I hope that we run into you at one of these car shows, at a minimum SEMA next year. And
for sure.
You
For
get to
sure.
go to PRI. I'm super jealous.
we need to go with that,
it's
Rob.
That's too
such a
short a
good
notice
show.
for me.
I just calling sick.
Call in sick. Yeah. All right.
You have to have tickets
you
by now.
you have to hit up a PRI at least once because as soon as you go, because I didn't believe it because I liked SEMA so much, the last 2 years, and then this is going to be my third PRI, and people told me right before my first one, they're like, if you like SEMA, you're going to love PRI, and then you're not going to think SEMA is all that cool anymore.
Yeah.
And I still think SEMA is pretty cool, but PRI is on a different level because it's only racing parts.
Yeah.
And
There you
go.
and it's a lot smaller and it's a lot more organic for meeting people and just it's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I would do 2 or 3 PRIs a year if I could.
Oh.
Is there any other shows you'd recommend for us to check out or our listeners to check out?
You know what? Anything local in your area is a good way to start networking. Cars and coffee. Obviously, the bigger conventions, if you can get into SEMA and PRI, if you're in the business. Other than that, even like SoCal, they have such a wonderful car culture down there that you just can go down there and get immersed in it because they have shows every single weekend and sometimes during, the morning during the week.
Yeah.
So
Before work.
Yeah. If you're, I know. It's like work. Yeah. They're all rich down there.
Yeah.
They don't work.
All of a sudden, I'm sick.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, again, thanks for your time.
Is there any plugs you want to shout out on their show where people can follow you at or check you out?
If you guys are interested in following me on Instagram, it's Rachel's Spoon _EG6. And then, of course, if you go to my link tree, you'll find my R&D Garage YouTube and TikTok, Gearhead Chick on there. And I do a lot of, again, walk-arounds of vehicles I think that are super cool and some maintenance videos on TikTok as well. So,
It's awesome.
connect with me.
It's good stuff. It's awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. This was so much fun.
Well,
Yes,
thank
this
you.
was a lot of fun.
You bet.
Thank you, Rachel.
And we will see you around, I hope.
Most definitely.
All right. Take care. Thanks, Rachel.
All right.
Cool. You too. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. Yeah, she's super energetic, and I really like what she has going. That right there at the end, she brought up the R&D Garage. Man, I think that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm totally going to check it out tonight while
Yep.
I'm laying on the couch,
need to
trying to stay awake.
check that out. Our listeners should check it out and hit follow. Follow her, follow us, all those things.
Untitled Car Project at Instagram.com. And
Is that how that works?
I don't know.
Are we wrapping this up?
No, I was-
had stuff left.
No, not entirely. But yeah, I mean, hit follow. Go ahead. I know that Grant wanted to do a bit of a Lamborghini update.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where we're going?
Jeez, don't yell at me.
Sorry, I got excited.
Gonna blow my eardrums up.
So, for listeners, so the Lamborghini build is going strong.
Is it strong? Or is it
I'm really trying.
I know you are. You're putting a lot of hours in, dude.
Yeah, we had this last weekend, as we talked earlier, as Rob was traveling to get the V10. I was checking on him with him every, 3-4 hours?
Yeah, about that.
So, just to see how he was doing and giving him new video updates for listing on the road. At the same time, the biggest hurdle I'm coming over right now is the engine we got free, so it's no longer seized. which we found out was due to the transmission, which
Yeah.
was due to the pressure plate hitting the back.
Yeah.
Which
is actually good news.
Yeah.
It's not something internal to the motor.
which is perfect.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyone could have just slapped it together and said, okay, we're good to go.
Right.
The problem I have is the way the Lamborghini is set up and that the previous owner built with is there's an adapter plate that uses instead of a flywheel with spacers. And the previous one he built was off balance. That being said, I didn't feel like it was safe for me or for any other new owners
Yeah, exactly.
to be driving that, because if you have a non-perfect spherical object spinning at 5,000 RPM if you're in the red line,
Yeah.
I don't want that saw blade to go into anyone.
Right.
So I tried milling it out and making a perfect circle on the lathe, and I did in the center, but then found out the outside was way oblonged, and to the point where it was like, well, this is not going to work. So I had to restart from scratch and build a new space adapter. And hopefully we'll have an Instagram reel about that soon.
Good.
I've been making
Get
a lot of videos.
pictures.
I got videos, lots of videos of it.
Videos are good.
I
Yeah.
want to see pictures because before it was basically two bars kind of in a circle shape that were bolted on. And I kept looking at it going, man, that's sketchy as fuck.
Yeah. So with this new one, it should be on the balance. And once that's together onto it, theoretically, it bolts to the engine. The engine should fire up, and that will be kid us to driving.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I've had that thing for what,
I mean,
2-3 years?
That's the goal, right? The objective is to make it drive.
Yeah. The last things to make it actually drive on that is the rear brakes need to be rebuilt. And they do have all the parts for that, and already started a year or so ago getting everything rebuilt for them. So that's perfect. And just going through this and that, checking, and the
Making
front,
sure it's roadworthy.
exactly, because that's what ultimately comes down. This thing might be able to, engine might be able to fire, but I want to make so you can drive, stop, turn with it.
Yeah.
Now, taking that to the next level, if it's going to be safe driving on the road, because it's essentially just a fiberglass body on top of like a sheet metal,
Right.
not even a frame.
Yeah.
So I haven't decided yet if I've already put some time into building a frame on that to make it safe
Right.
in the front, but
Right.
side impacts and rollovers. If you could roll over that thing, that would be impressive for how low it is.
Yeah. I mean, weird shit happens.
That's true.
I'd be more worried about the body peeling off the frame.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't
It's
even
not
think about
super
that.
attached.
I mean, a lot of wood.
Yeah. Just wood screws.
Wood and glue.
glue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the update with that. There's another update, which I don't know if our listeners are going to be angry if I'm going that route.
I will be.
Rob is. I have.
Let's turn his mic off before he gets to it.
Should I not tell him about that?
No. Tell him. Tell him what you're doing.
So this is really off random tangent, but I've gotten involved in the community with, if for those who don't know, what's called a VTuber. It's kind of like an influencer on YouTube. They use anime girls and they use as a puppet, an avatar for them to just talk and speak through. Very nice person, and their community is very nice. And I will say she's a decent size, couple 100,000 subscribers, and somehow I was able to get her notice. On my handle online is the Ferrari kid. She's like, "Oh, Mr. Ferrari." I'm like, "Okay." Somehow I got that attention, and now that led to her finding out I have a Lamborghini kit, and that now she and the community really, 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 really want me to wrap that car completely in anime girls.
I told you no. Don't do it. If they're paying for it,
If
go
they're
for
paying
it.
for it,
But otherwise, no.
If they're paying for it, I would totally do it. Sell it to them.
yeah.
That's even better. Sell it to them.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun if, depending on how that goes through, or if it is completed in that way, it'd be fun to bring it to like maybe a couple of anime conventions, especially that community there.
Yeah, if they want to pay for that,
Yeah.
like the wrap and maybe even transporting the vehicle, because it's still rough. The thing is still really rough.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I plan on making it at least when it's roadworthy.
Yeah.
It will be drivable, drive like safe, bolted, everything together. Because underneath, everything underneath that the body
See,
is.
that was not the plan for that car. You need the space. You need it gone.
I know.
Gone.
I need to put those ghost car back. I need to put in more of the Fiats.
Because right now the ghost car is no windows and it's getting snowed in.
Oh,
Wasn't he talking about another car just as we
Always.
started
Always.
today?
No, it was not another car. I'm going for a
No, it's
different
something
thing.
else. No, that's a different project that I will not allow him to speak of.
But it is arcade related.
Oh,
Stop
that thing. That
Yeah,
thing.
Stop it.
So
Yeah, so Ghost Cars, you know,
I know I
it's
need
not
to,
doing well.
I need to get on that. And like I said, we've talked about this as well as it's not due to time management because I am working on weekends. I'm doing whatever I
No.
can trying to get on that
Right,
car.
but it would be
year's
management,
not.
project management, you know, if you end up keeping that car and doing another project with it or,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. It's entirely up to you, but we got to do something with that other car then.
You mean the ghost car?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need to figure it out.
If you don't do something with it soon, it's gonna.
I
It's
know.
going to go away.
Okay. So, but yeah, that's the current updates on the Lambo right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I did enjoy your updates as I was driving 16 or whatever. Yeah, it was
16 hours.
13 hours.
I really
13 hours.
thought you were going to beat me home.
I was still way out there when you left work or left the shop. I was like, no, you're way closer than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But it was worth it. I am pretty happy with that motor.
What did you think of the overall drive to get out
gorgeous.
there?
It's a long drive. I mean, it was fine. I had plenty of energy. I didn't need sleep, you know, so I didn't get tired on the drive, which sometimes, depending on, you know, my previous night's sleep, that could happen. But no,
Yeah.
I was fine. It's a pretty drive.
Yeah.
I think going up the gorge, up the Columbia River, you know, and then out through God's country and the mountains and
Yeah.
whatever.
It's definitely, there's a point in my opinion on I-84 where it just kind of gets bland. And it's like right when you get over the
Well,
river and it's just flat land.
Yeah,
But then
it's,
it gets,
it's farmland.
it-
I like that though.
yeah, well, I was to say it's maybe for an hour, but after that it turns, there's just before and after that,
Yeah.
great road, great highway, you know, like before Boardman. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, that one section. So
There is a section out there, and I'm sure the listeners probably don't care much, but there's a section out there after Pendleton as you're going up through the mountains. It's about a 40-minute section that there is no cell reception. Zero.
really,
Yeah, I got nothing for that long. Both directions, so I know it wasn't just a fluke. Yeah. I was
that's
like,
why you need to be using our sponsor, Cricket Mobile.
no, I doubt that they had cell reception out there.
Cricket. Yeah, that's what you heard.
Yeah, exactly. You heard crickets. I heard the dogs snoring in the back seats. What I heard. They're just sawing logs back there.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, Chunky gets up and noses me with his big wet nose. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
I gotta pee.
Yeah, that's what he
let
was
me
telling me
out.
too. He's like, hey, this is getting too long.
I gotta know how much excitement. What was your first thoughts when you got there? When you saw the engine?
Oh
What was going through your mind, Rob?
Yeah, I think it was better than I anticipated actually because it's super clean. The thing is spotless. Like there's not a drip of oil or road grime on that thing. And it was in the crate that his new motor came in. So he put a 8.8 liter in his Viper. Our friend Jim has the 9
liter.
But anyway, from the same idea, but he got the 8.8 liter. So he got that new one, and he's just like, I don't need this. I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And he actually told me that he listed it on eBay and stuff like that and got crickets for weeks.
Really?
Yeah, well, nobody trusts eBay. And I don't blame him. I told him that too. I was like, yeah, I saw some stuff. I don't know that I saw his motor on there. Maybe I did.
Yeah.
But I don't trust eBay. I won't buy off of there. Not something like that.
Yeah, there's stuff you can buy off eBay, but like
Still sketchy.
big investments of let's just say, over $5,000.
Yeah.
You really like,
It's
without
sketchy.
seeing it in person.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have videos sent and stuff, and that kind of helps out. But I mean, there's. I think eBay may have a return policy if it doesn't
yes,
meet stuff, but like
there is some.
engines are different. They send you an engine, you saw the things for it.
Right.
It's if it doesn't work out, you can't be like, "Well, take the engine back."
Right. Anyway,
That's a
that's
hell
why
of
I
a
didn't
lot
buy.
of shit.
But then he said, he listed it on Marketplace and he had 12 people the first day contact him. I just happened to be the first one to actually show up. You know, I'm sure some of them were long distance. They wouldn't shipping and this and that and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he showed me his Viper, started it up with the new motor. Oh, that thing sounds mean.
Did it?
Got a good exhaust on it and stuff.
Did
Really,
it sound
really
meaner
nice
than
car.
Jim's Viper? Or
Actually,
did
a
it sound
different,
similar?
different tone.
Yeah?
Yeah, he had a different exhaust than Jim has
Interesting.
on his. But really cool. Super nice guy. Brad, give him a shout out, man. Thanks for everything.
Hi, Brad.
Super good. Yeah, I don't know. Really liked it. So we hoisted it into my truck, put the top on the crate, and I strapped it in and drove home with it. So
Nice.
now it is in my garage.
There you go.
Yeah. So kind of excited me a little bit to, and now that I have that, I'm narrowing down the adapter for the transmission and all that stuff. And
Have you already found the company that you're going to use to get the adapter from Viper to?
I've got emails out to 2 of them, kind of narrowing down, what comes with what kits and this kind of stuff, and trying to figure that out. And I've already thought that if I can't get something that I like that I know is going to be reliable, I might just go with like a TR6060 and put a standard transmission in it,
Yeah.
But I'm not going down that road just yet because this is really the way I want to build it. And maybe I might even have to do some kind of custom adapter, but we'll see. Yeah, there does appear to be, and I looked before I went down this road, before I went and bought a motor.
Yeah.
When we decided, hey, the V10 would be cool, I looked to make sure that I could get an adapter, and I did see some out there. Now looking again, I'm like, pickings are a little slimmer than I thought there would be, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
It's a project, and it's a kind of an intricate project. It's going to take some engineering, but I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to have the motor. I mean, that's such a big step in the right direction.
Dude, it's going to be fun walking that first Honda.
Look out, bro.
Did I just get smoked by that old truck?
Yeah.
Oh my
That'll beat her.
God.
I'll put a really quiet exhaust on it.
No, you got to have it with the baffles, so it's really quiet. Push a button, opens
Open it
them up.
up. Yeah. What do they call those boom tubes? The ones that stick out from underneath the side.
That's actually a question. What are you going to do about the exhaust? Because the
know yet.
Vipers are either known for having the exhaust that go to the back or the side pipes.
I will not probably, unless I do those like flat boom tubes out the sides. I will probably run it out the back.
Okay.
That was my.
Or up the top. It's a truck. You can have stacks.
I don't really like the stacks.
No?
No.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
Okay.
Out of the side of the bed.
Those are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. And it didn't come with headers or anything, so I have to do the whole thing. He reused that on his car, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised you reuse the headers on that, especially
was
with
too.
a bigger engine.
yeah, I was too. Unless he may have had it after. I didn't look under the hood,
Yeah.
or actually he did pop the hood, but I didn't look down there.
Just kind of in shock.
He might have. Well, he might have already had headers, and who knows? Probably I would have tossed the originals,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. But that's something I've heard about Vipers too. Like stock, they don't come with a great sounding exhaust.
Yeah.
So there'll be some
That's-
research done into that and asking of our friends and what they like and
Yeah.
what sounds good and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Coming from someone whose family owns a stock Viper of that same motor, same generation, the problem is it's really, really quiet at idle. I've had friends who like you appear
don't
with that
rumble
car
much.
and they don't like realize you're there.
Yeah.
I feel like
Is that stock
car,
exhaust?
It's stock exhaust
Yeah,
on ours,
okay,
and that's my dad has actually been debating for years about getting rid of the car because he hates the sound of it.
Well, just put new exhaust on it.
He doesn't like to spend
Does
money.
Dad
that's
want to sell
funny.
that exhaust.
I don't want that exhaust.
So that's the thing is like I feel in being able to hear different Viper exhausts. I think a Borla exhaust would sound great on his car, but I also think it comes more than that because he likes the low rumble chop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you want that, we got to throw a cam into
gotta
it.
cam it,
And he, what's the word? But the stock Viper on the stock exhaust on the Viper, I feel personally that it actually sounds good above $4,000.
Okay.
But you only got 4 to 6 in there.
Right.
It's loud. It's an excitement thing, but it's also you still can kind of have a conversation when you're up at that speed. It's not like a Cobra where it's straight pipe and you can't hear
Oh
a
my
damn
God.
thing.
Right.
What
What years is yours?
And 2004.
Is it 4? Okay.
Yeah. So it's got the 8.3 liter.
Gotcha. That's cool. I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of different, like clutch and exhaust and things that I want to do, and just I'm going to leave the motor stock, especially for now. There's no point in doing any internal. It's only got 20,000 miles on it, so
Yeah.
that's really good. I just want it to run to start with, and then play with it, and then be like, okay, I want more power, or no, I like it right where it's at.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And to make power, I don't feel like you need much. Exhaust
Probably
cam, it's a huge engine already.
It's a huge engine, yeah.
know?
It really is. And it's got, it's all stock intake and everything, but it's beautiful. Like the intake on that top of that motor is just gorgeous. It's really well put together. It just is pretty.
It looked clean from the picture.
Super clean. Never been in the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There might be one thing you need to check on it that I had to do on our car. So with our car, it's only got, I think, 12,000 or 14,000 miles. And one of the things I realized was it seemed like it was losing horses. Like when it was, because my dad at one point never really took care of maintenance on his cars. And so I eventually arm wrestled him and said, you have to do this. The Viper was an interesting one because I drove it and I was like, for the longest time, I felt like Liger had way more power than that. Only to find out when I started going in it, two of the spark plug wires had opens on them.
I already found one.
Yeah,
I did.
So
because I was hooking up the chain to hoist it out of the truck and whatever, and I wanted to pull one of the plug wires off to get it out of the way. Just pulled the end right off of it. And I was like, oh, well, this is a problem.
And I don't, it's weird how they go because they go inside of the intake.
Yeah.
So you have to take the intake off. And the one thing about our Viper putting it back on was, I am a big fan of you do the torque spec, you do the torque sequence.
Yeah.
And it is definitely, I'd recommend an electric torque wrench for that because it is so tight to get a socket in there. You could barely get one in to tighten the sequence.
I noticed looking looking where the coil pack is and all that. Yep. And I was like, yep.
But that's one thing I've noticed with Vipers is the wires tend to go and just replace them. Get your and get better, the best you
get
can.
higher quality.
Is it because they're hot?
That's what I was assuming.
So these were obviously stock. They had the stock heat sock on it, and everything. And it took nothing. I pulled the end right off of that thing. I was like, wow, I wonder if he was having that problem before he replaced the motor.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it all.
Didn't realize it.
Wires
yeah, right.
Instead of replacing.
Whatever. That's not a...
Thanks for the motor, buddy.
It's a process to replace plug wires on it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But I could see, just looking at the intake, how difficult it is to get it off of there. It's the way it's bolted in is kind of intricate, right? You got to stick a long socket down through the holes that are top of the intake and line them up.
My biggest word of advice is whatever happens when you're putting that intake back on, do not drop a nut.
Yeah.
Me and my cousin, we were putting it back on, and that was the number one rule because, like, if you drop this while we're torquing things back, we got to take it all off and start over again.
Yep.
So 10 cylinders, that's 20 different nuts going on there.
Yeah. Pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
There'll be small upgrades as it goes back together.
Are you fully going through that and replacing all the seals and stuff since it's already out?
No.
Or you're just leaving it as is?
I'm leaving it as is because it's not been broken open. I'm not going to break it open.
Okay. Yeah. Not taking the magic out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it's exciting, little update, little progress. It's neat to see that kind of stuff happen. You just go throw a giant chunk of money at it and here we go. I have made a commitment.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
It's a commitment.
Yeah.
But
it's neat though.
That thing's going to be badass.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that one thing about the Viper motors that's interesting is just a stock Viper motor, nothing looks like it.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
And
it's a gorgeous motor.
It's a gorgeous motor. It's got provenance when you open up and see it, especially the valve covers being red and very straight cut. Yeah.
Yep.
The first time you open that for somebody.
The hood.
The hood.
Yeah.
And they're going to look in and go,
holy.
oh.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's kind of a neat build. It's not something I've seen done before. I know that Viper motors have been put in other cars, a lot smaller than that pickup truck, but it'll look good. It'll be neat.
I bet you the one comment you're going to get after that's in and all done and start grading it at the shows and stuff, people are like, when are you going to twin turbo it?
Yeah. Possibly. I could see people saying that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's fine. No turbos for me.
What do those things have for power from the factory?
It's 505 cubic inch, right?
So it's a 500. It was okay. I'm going to tout this real fast. Just hear me out.
Yeah.
Back in the magazines when that year Viper came out, it was touted as the 500 club, and that was to get you into the supercar level club. It was a 505 cubic inch block with 500 horses and 500 pounds of torque.
Okay. And then I read that with a tune, you can get 650 horsepower and 600 foot-pounds of torque doing nothing but a tune.
Just a tune.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
I don't know about that. I feel like
I just read that yesterday.
yeah, if you can send me that link, I would like that because it'd be nice to have some more horses. But
Right.
it's because I think you can get maybe 80 to 100 from a straight tune from that.
Yeah.
Maybe a custom tune a little bit more than that, but 180 horses.
Yeah.
That's a
150.
150.
oh, I thought you said 680.
650.
Okay. But
I mean, maybe they're wrong, but that's what I read. Just with a tune, you can get that out of it. But
I mean, I would
take 600. That'd be nice.
yeah.
I would believe that. It's 10 cylinders.
It's such a big motor.
The next generation Viper, the same body, pretty much different. I'm gonna get killed by our Viper friends for saying that.
Yeah.
But a little bit tweaks in here. But that motor was a 8.4 liter, I believe.
The new version.
Same.
Yeah.
It looks almost the same on it, and that made 600 horses. I think at the max it did was 650. So it might have been. I mean, they bored it or stroked it or whatever to get that extra 0.1 on it.
0.1's not going to make that.
But a lot of it probably
the
came from
tune.
a tune. Yeah. You know.
Well, tune and intake, because you can port your intake, right, and clean it up so you get better flow and that kind of stuff. That will gain you horsepower as well.
yeah.
So, but it didn't say anything about doing that. It just said straight up tune.
You know, I wonder if with those cars, if it's better to port or because it's so it's an intake, better to 3D print one because then you could get way smoother curves into it, right?
I don't know that to be true. I don't know.
No,
I just really don't know.
Yeah.
But I would think porting the one that there. Besides that, it would look so clean because the one that's on there is so nice.
Very nice.
So nice. So if you just clean up the internals, because I'm sure it's cast, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, cleaning up the way that the fuel and air flow through there would make quite a bit of difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. Well, the intake that I bought for my Corvette, drawing a blank. I want to say it's MSD intake, but I don't know. I don't remember now. Anyway, I bought it from Mamo, and he ported that as well, and he said that's good for another 60 horse.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
The one thing I had the question with your Viper, it came with all the accessories already onto it, right? So that power steering pump, it had the AC compressor, etc.
Yep.
Are you going to apply all that to your truck and your build?
No AC.
No AC. No. Okay. How come?
Because the truck isn't plumbed for AC, and I don't want to go through that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no point in it.
But the power steering unit you're going to reuse?
We'll have to see how that adapts, because I do want power steering, yes, and the rack that I have is power steering rack.
Okay.
So potentially I reuse that, potentially I go electric.
Okay.
So everything that I take off that motor increases my horsepower because less drag, right? But yeah, that'll be a game time decision of how things plumb up.
Have you ever done a AC delete on the car and how?
I did, yeah, the silver car.
Okay, so how much research or how do you do that? I've never done that before. Again, the guy who brings things to factory spec or what they could have. Because deleting it, I know you got to change the belt, but then how do you know what's the proper tension? How do you know if the geometry's right?
So on the Corvette, when we deleted the AC, I looked up as just a shot in the dark, right? You can buy, or back in the day, you could buy a Corvette with no AC. So you look up the belt number of a car with no AC.
Yeah.
And it gives you the right size. Probably not as easy in this situation, but maybe. I mean, there's Vipers with no AC in them. So you can also look up online. You can get a lot of cross-reference information.
Okay.
So if you can figure out the length of belt you need, you can just look that up.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can just buy that.
Just figure it out by grabbing a rag tape and running around. That tells you your length.
Yeah. However, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it's not an exact science, and then hopefully you've got enough adjustment in your tensioner to be able to get the right tension on it and that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you what, your V10 is definitely going to be way more exciting than that Miata V10.
Yeah. That Miata V.
The Lamborghini
V8.1, 8.10, whatever that was. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be a cool project. It's actually moving forward probably faster than I thought it would. I kind of figured this was a 5-year project, and it still might be as I get into it. It's going to take a lot of time, but I'm excited about it, so that helps. You kind of ride that wave a little bit. Yeah,
it's tough because you get excited about a project, but you got to balance between projects.
I do, because I've got a bunch.
You've got a bunch. Like that's one thing I've had problems with the years is I get into one, and now I'm trying to focus solely on one trying to get, because you can be excited about one, then get bored or get frustrated, and then like, oh, I got another shiny thing right here, and make a little bit development. Like, oh, now all my attention's there. Yeah. And once you do that, you take a project that was, 5 years or a couple of years, and now it's unknown because everything else is getting all that attention.
It goes back burner for sure. And I get that. And honestly, the GMC's been back burner, but since this motor came up, I jumped on it because haven't been seeing them. So I'm like, I can buy that and put it in the shop. And now it's ready to go. And, I can do some background research and stuff. Right now, I've got one of the Corvettes on the lift. Mm-hmm. That's my priority. I need to get that car.
The silver one, right?
The silver one. Yeah, I want, starting to get the motor ready to go back in and that kind of stuff. And maybe this weekend I get to work on that a little bit. Probably not, but that's just kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend more time on that and get it done. But life happens too. I've got work and girlfriend and other things to deal with.
And Grant.
And Grant friend. I've got a Grant friend.
Does he call you 10 times a day too?
Not 10. Oh. No.
About 5. I'm not giving Jeremy the attention he needs.
I know. He needs more love, apparently.
Lord, he calls it the worst times.
It's always the worst time. Yeah.
Yep. Right in the middle of a conversation with my wife, and the phone rings, and it's
girlfriend
Tokyo Drift.
It's Grant friend.
Like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'll call you back.
Yeah. He doesn't take it badly though when you hang up on him, so it's all right. But anyway, life happens too.
Yeah.
All those projects. So silver car, and then I have to pull the motor out of the black car and send that off to get rebuilt. I really want to get that done. Mm-hmm. And then I've got green Corvette too that I want to make run.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, it's about narrowing.
I just have to prioritize which one goes first.
Yeah. Like, for example, here's the thing, and don't get mad at me, but like today, for example.
You had to bring it up.
I know. Looking online, Fiat forums come up, and I'm like, that's a really cool Fiat car that someone's building and racing. I'm like, I've got a spare Fiat. But it takes enough to hold back on that because I'm like, I've got enough projects. I've got a ghost car to build, so I can't get on that. But it's nice to save the ideas for eventually down the line when you get to that point.
I agree, because I've got other projects in my brain that I'm like, I want to look for this particular car because I know it's out there, but I can't. I have to really hold back. Like, I want to put a small block 350 in the bed of a Datsun pickup, a long bed Datsun pickup. I want to build that.
The only time it's probably appropriate to do is like how Rachel was talking about earlier, is if you find that Porsche or Ferrari, it's that deal that you can't pass up. Mm-hmm. Buy it, get on it later. Yeah. Just make sure you have the space and and the willingness.
I also want to build a lowrider K5 Blazer.
Yeah.
A 2-wheel drive.
I want to build a Scout. I want to build a Link Continental. Jeremy wants to build
nothing.
Well, okay, do you know what a chase vehicle for the Dakar is?
Yes, I do.
I want to build a small version of that out of an Isuzu for my Alaska rig.
A Isuzu,
like a Samurai?
Like the Isuzu flat nose.
Okay. Okay. No, I got
like a 1 ton or something like that.
Oh,
right?
1 ton version. That's not a small. I mean, it is compared to Dakar, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a 5 ton or 2.5 ton.
It'd be pretty badass,
right?
What's one of those run?
Right now, you can get a really good running Isuzu for like $8 to $10,000.
I saw one on a flatbed that had been burned up on the way here tonight. You probably get that one pretty cheap.
Put a little Cummins 6BT in it.
Oof. Woo. That'd be cool. Oh, that's something else I want to do, is like old body style Chevy with a diesel in it.
Right?
Yeah.
That was my idea when I had the 64 Ford.
Yeah.
I wanted to basically take the body off and put it onto a newer Dodge
chassis.
Pickup.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I really want to build that motor. I was working on that boring machine. I think we've talked about this on the show at one point.
The boring machine, yeah.
What engine was that? It was an International engine, right?
I don't know.
It was a 2-stroke,
story, bro.
Supercharged.
I remember the 2-stroke
Detroit. No, it was a Detroit motor.
Okay.
Right? That's what I want to put in the car one of these days, because like you don't see that.
2-stroke.
A 2-stroke supercharger built into the block.
Yeah.
From the 50s. That would be 4-cylinder.
That's a SEMA build there.
Yeah, with like 0 horses. Probably has what? Well, I bet you
could probably run it on steam. It's coal powered.
Yeah, I know. But like something like that, and the whole point of that wouldn't be just, it's a lot of power. It'd just be like, it's
It's
different.
just the different factor.
Yeah.
The
know.
cool engineering side of it.
Yeah. And especially like older kind of machinery just has more of like a mechanical sense to it. You
Yeah.
see and everything kind of moving and
Steampunk.
ticking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
think that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very cool.
Jeremy, you want to talk about
The
your
car I went and looked at.
the
Yes.
car you went and
Let's
looked
hear
at?
about that.
So, my wife's cousin is in college right now, and she doesn't have a car.
Mhm.
So she's over in Eastern Washington. Called over yesterday, day before, and had this Mazda CX-5.
Mhm.
She wanted somebody to take a look at to see if it would even be worth driving out here for.
Mhm.
So I went and talked to the guy yesterday. Walked around it a couple times, drove it. It's a nice car. Now, I have mixed feelings on it. Let me tell you guys why.
Okay.
Please do.
It's got a salvage title.
So it's a project car.
It was somebody's project car.
Okay.
Now, the guy drives it as his daily driver.
So it's salvage type, but it's licensed.
And
It
run.
is licensed.
Okay.
It is roadworthy.
Okay.
And like I said, I drove it quite a bit yesterday.
Okay.
And one of the things I was looking for was, if I let go of the steering wheel, is it going to walk all over the place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it shake when I drive it?
Mm-hmm.
Any of
Back
those,
kind of shake, not the rumble.
That's right. Any of the nuances of a car that had been freshly rebuilt,
Right.
from totaled.
What was total on? What did he tell you what the accident caused on that?
Oh, it was just some fender damage.
Well, it was
That's the one you hear a lot.
There was some front end damage. I don't know how extensive it was.
Okay.
Like I said, the motor sounded good. It was straight. It was clean. The paint all matched.
Can I ask?
And it's a black car. It's hard to match paint on black.
Black
so
is
I
tough.
think he shot the whole thing.
Okay. So did you look under the hood
I did.
and could you see frame rails? Well, let's see. It's
a unibody.
It's a unibody, but
Yeah.
so the chassis up front, could you tell it was crunched or damaged?
I couldn't. No,
Okay.
I looked really close, and I looked, at the what do you call that? The
Seam welds.
no, the bar that goes across the front, that the radiator mount.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
So
I
it's probably
looked-
been replaced.
Yeah, I looked pretty closely at that, and I was looking like at the sides of it where it should be connected to the fenders, and I didn't see anything
Okay.
fucky with it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did end up calling her and telling her I think it would be a good rig for her, because
Okay. How many miles?
73,000 miles.
Said it was a CX-5.
CX-5.
Okay. Here's 73,000.
So it's the small SUV.
Right. Right.
Here's my question: why is she wanting this one rather than just say a non-wrecked one? It does come down to economy. And
Because
money.
it's price.
Yeah. I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What do they want?
She's in college.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the non-wrecked ones go for. Usually it's about
What's this
30% more. She got the guy talked down to 10.5.
So for 10.5 though, is that worth it for that vehicle, or is there something on the market that's about equal? Like, is she in love with this, or be like, because you could buy a good
No, I think
Honda,
it's like $4,000 or
Like that.
$5,000 cheap.
Toyota.
At least $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say 70,000 miles. What year?
16.
Yeah,
Probably 14 or 15 for one that's not been wrecked. But here's the problem. If she doesn't plan on driving that until it's dead,
Yep.
she's
Yeah.
stuck with it.
Right.
Because, you turn over 100,000 miles and it has a salvage title.
It'll be
Good
hard
luck
to get
selling
rid
it.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
And maybe that, maybe she drives it for a couple of years and turns it around for 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Or 5.
Right.
And so maybe if you drive it for 3 or 4 years, it's worth 5. It's worth that investment, right? Because you're going to lose $5,000 on it. Say,
Yeah.
dump it off again for with 120,000 miles for
Right.
$5,000. You could probably do that
Yeah.
if it's still decent. If it's holding together.
Sure.
Well, let's flip this. What are your guys' thoughts, and would you buy one or not A salvage title.
Now, would
on what
I?
it's for.
Yeah, what's it for?
That's exactly.
A race car?
What would make you say yes to one?
If I am going to beat the shit out of it,
Okay.
and I don't care. So if it's a race car,
Okay.
or an off-road vehicle that I'm like, yeah, I don't care. If I'm buying it for myself for a daily, if I know that I'm just going to drive it until it's dead, maybe I would do it. Otherwise, no.
Okay. What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think if I was doing a race car or something I was going to beat on, I would. Daily, probably not.
Probably not.
Because I don't generally keep cars long enough to
Make it worthwhile.
make it worthwhile. Yeah. So, if I was going to keep it 10 years and drive it, yeah, I don't keep shit for 10 years. I keep it for like 1, 2, and get rid of it.
For me, it's, and I'm on the same boat. If it's a daily, I can't. The thing is this: depending on how extensive it is, if it's the point where it's totaled, I can't see where the frame and everything has been rebuilt to proper standards, and then you're paying. Someone's putting money into that already for that.
Backyard mechanic to that. Somehow.
Yeah. The only time something would be worth it for me would be if it's a very, very rare car. I'm talking like a 70s, 60s Ferrari.
Okay.
Because those cars you can't total, theoretically.
Theoretically.
In the race car, I'm actually on the boat where I'm like iffy on that. Because if you've got a car that was damaged and the frame's gone, do I want to put something on the track and putting that so many miles an hour? Unless if I'm fully caging that and going through a frame on that. Because if it's like, the body's pretty good, I don't want to be at speed and have, say, the rear quarter panel start crumpling down. And that, even if it's a half an inch crumple, that's enough to throw a car out of whack.
For sure. But I agree with you as far as the race car portion.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on how badly it's damaged, what is the damage.
Yeah.
Are you going to just reinforce everything and cage it?
Yeah.
And it drives or tracks straight enough, you can get the alignment that you want on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. If it's a dirt track car or something, fine. Autocross car, fine. There's a lot of use cases for that vehicle.
Yeah.
And some people buy them because they're inexpensive and can daily it, and they get away with it. Some of them are repaired enough that you can trust that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's risky.
Well, it's risky, and
There's no resale value.
Biggest one's Ferrari. So people love.
Yeah, but
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. I'm talking cheaper Ferraris.
I know,
Yeah.
but we're talking about a CX-5, for the average Joe.
I know. I'm using this as an example of diminished value.
Okay.
So the reason I'm saying, and it happens to any car, doesn't matter if it's CX-5, doesn't matter if it's a Subaru, whatever. But I'm using Ferrari as an example. Okay, is if you're buying a average or basic Ferrari and say new, it's $100,000. Just say, right?
Okay.
In the Ferrari world, once that's totaled, people are like, oh, a mass-produced Ferrari doesn't hold its value or gain its value. They're worth like $30,000, and no one's going to touch that because the parts are expensive. Yeah. It's already been through a wreck, so people don't know if they can trust it at speed. Right. If you buy a car like that, or like a Viper, Vipers are known to be like gone through totaled cars.
Yes.
Those are cars when you buy them is, I can afford this at the time because price is right, and I'm not getting rid of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a car that you're going to keep forever because you put your hands on it, you rebuilt it, you put blood, sweat, and tears, because you're never getting that money back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're right about quote unquote exotic cars or specialty cars. Maybe that's a better term. Because those cars, and even like race cars that have history, right? So somebody famous drove it, or it competed in these special events or whatever, and then someday somebody's out driving it at a track event, where they historics or something like that, and they put it in a wall, or they tangle up with another car, and you look at it and you're like, oh, it's total, it's gone. Yeah. Nope, they'll rebuild that car, and it's still worth just as much, even though the parts aren't the original parts. It's not the original body. They'll repaint it to look like it, and it's still worth it.
The McLaren F1's probably the best example of that.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of exotic in that fashion, but like I was thinking of like Paul Newman race cars.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
The Nissans and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Because they'll go wreck those cars and then rebuild it, and because he drove the original car, whether it's still that car or not, doesn't matter. it's still worth that same money.
Yeah.
It's kind of
think-
crazy.
Paul Newman, he had a Supra at one point, right?
No, he was a Nissan driver.
Is he Nissan?
So I got that question.
Maybe Porsche too,
Yeah.
at some point, but mostly like he was Datsun Nissan.
So I got a question for you, Jeremy. If we're all in agreements, that would not buy a daily driver if it's at a salvage title,
much.
right? Correct.
Yeah.
Why would you recommend then your
So-
niece, cousin?
College kid.
Okay.
She doesn't make money yet.
Okay. But she's not going to get that money if she sells that.
Who cares?
Okay.
I semi agree with that too, because like even the cars that I got for my kids were on that lower end. I think actually my son drove a salvage title Golf for a while. You're buying like cheap cars are not
So is there
cheap anymore. They're still 10 grand, you know?
So is there an age rating then that you have to recommend?
No,
for
I think
people
it's
to
an
buy? Is it-
income thing.
Okay.
Really. But they also need to realize that there's no return on investment in that vehicle.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a throwaway.
she's looking for a car that's going to get her from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Her mom and dad are helping her out
Yeah.
to pick this thing up.
Yeah.
And
But then I guess that goes, if it's A to B, especially at that price point, there's definitely cars out there without salvage titles
you
that are
think?
reliable.
You think? Like what?
You can buy, well, like Lily's car, like the Camry, you can buy the same year for about 12 grand, right? 10 grand?
yeah, but you're looking at $2,000 more than she's spending on this. And Lily's
know.
car,
Mileage?
had 150,000 miles.
Yeah.
True, but I'm saying similar Corollas is what I meant to like bring up. Like because we were looking at one point the value of her car, and so we were looking at other Corollas, thinking about that range.
So, no,
No,
I don't agree with that
Okay.
because Mazda's price point is lower than Honda and Toyota
okay,
and Subaru.
okay,
Just right
Really?
off the top.
Subaru too?
Yep.
yeah,
Subaru's pretty low. I mean, even
yeah.
new, they're pretty low.
Yeah, Mazda's even lower.
But they may not hold their value or reliability for as long.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
And I think that's something you're looking at too. If you go back to your days as a young kid with no money and going to college, it's like, I need something semi-reliable. And the only way to get something semi-reliable is look as low mileage as you possibly can. And that's super hard in that price range.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she's looking at a 73,000 mile car for 10 grand. This feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard to get.
And it's got full leather and all that stuff. So it's a heated seats. It's a nice car. And the heated seats work.
Here's
good.
something. So if that car were to start having problems, how expensive is it to fix it?
Yeah.
Mazda's fairly inexpensive to fix.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing too then.
Yeah.
I would think where most problems would come by would actually probably be like electrical. And the reason is because if it's a salvage title, it means it had to go to not a salvage yard, but it'd have to go sit outside, wrecked at some point, be existed to the elements. After the wreck, what all got ripped out? What got hit? You know, in would they reuse and say, okay, this looked like it was good enough, but it's sitting out in the weather
So
for
not always. They
Yeah.
don't always go to a wrecking yard.
yeah, but they'll be in the parking lot.
Not necessarily.
Sometimes it goes right in the shop.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll go to a shop for an evaluation or whatever, and the insurance company says, no, it's not worth it. And so maybe the owner says it is to me and buys it back from them. So it never sat out anywhere, right? And then they either pay to have the work done or do it themselves at that point. So the car never sat in a wrecking yard or impound or anything like that.
That's true.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But yeah. The other question I had, because I haven't really dealt with salvage style cars, do you guys know, with a salvage style car, do insurance rates go up with that if you're trying to insure one? Or is it harder to insure the salvage style car?
I don't think it is.
No?
Doesn't insure any
Okay.
differently.
I know if you're trying to finance one, it's nearly impossible.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's true. Yeah. No, it's a good topic. It's I've potentially bought salvaged vehicle before, but fell through because the damage was not repaired and I caught it. But yeah, I don't know. It's stuff you're exposing yourself to more breakdown potential. Because you just don't know how the work was done, what the wreck really was. And I think Mazdas electrically are pretty decent cars.
I think so too. But it's like I said, if you throw in the electronics at the elements, exposed
Oh, I
elements,
agree. That could be an issue
Yeah.
for sure. You know, that's why you don't want to buy a flood vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons.
I have thought
One of
about
many.
that. I have thought about that for a while because, like, a flood vehicle, the body's fine for most part. Let's just say
Potentially,
interior
yeah.
might have changed out. Electrical is the only problem that's like,
Oof.
yeah,
Oofta.
yeah,
Especially on newer vehicles.
yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
How submerged was it? Are the doors still full?
You're right, yeah. Trunk still has water sloshing around in it. Yeah. If the water was above the seats, no. Do not buy it.
yeah.
Okay. You guys want to move on? We'll shift into reverse.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, a different gear.
Okay. Are we in automatic now?
We're gonna race on out of here.
No, it was Project Cars for Sale.
Woo!
We haven't done that in a while.
Ooh, yeah.
It's been 2 shows, right? But that's also because we were distracted.
I dropped my
Word.
phone.
Oh,
You want to go first, Rob?
I had 2 right here, and then I reopened my phone and it refreshed my screen.
Oh no.
I can go
Damn
first.
it.
'Cause
Okay.
I didn't actually find a car, but there's a Instagram page I've been following. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I've got one open.
It is Oregon.
Oh, this is riveting.
Oh fuck, I can't remember what it's called.
Riveting.
Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. I'm
So
finding it.
one of the things I found on Facebook Marketplace that would be interesting, it's not necessarily a car build, but parts, which I think would be interesting for anyone's build.
Okay.
2009 Audi S8 5.2 liter V10 motor and transmission. So you get the Lamborghini, essentially,
Yep.
V10 engine.
Yep.
Located
that's awesome.
in Colville, Washington. Colville, Washington. And it had 140,000 miles onto it. They're asking $1,000 for both combo.
Damn, that's a buy.
Yeah.
There's another. Well, Colville's probably that's probably 8 or 9 hour drive from here.
Is it really?
Yeah.
But it also comes with the wire harness and the ECU onto that.
Oof.
I think
I want to put that in the back of my Datsun.
Yeah. I think it's honestly like this. And again, it goes to that Miata Lamborghini, quote unquote, swap we saw at SEMA.
Yeah.
That these V10s are available. They're not the exact Lamborghini one. This one, I believe, only makes 450 horses.
Yeah, but the cool factor.
The cool factor, that V10, and for the price, that's not
great.
bad. Yeah.
That's
And what's nice about this one,
way better than what I
which,
paid.
But what's nice about this one is it has the wire harness and it
Yeah.
has the transmission.
Yeah.
It takes, put that in any kind of project car you
Does it
want.
say it runs? It ran when parked.
Motor ran good at 140,000 miles.
140.
But now it's got 141,000.
That's a lot of miles. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what it takes to rebuild one of those, but 140,000 miles.
Yeah. But
very cool.
yeah.
I agree. Like that would be a neat project, and the price is low enough that maybe rebuilding it isn't
It's not too bad.
Do it yourself.
It's $1,000, and the fact is, from there you can, if you're doing it yourself,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like you can lose money on that.
Exactly. You've got room to make a mistake.
Unless that's got
Yeah.
a blown piston in it,
Right.
which I don't see in
which
the picture.
ruins a cylinder or something.
Yeah, then you're out. But other than that, that's
Yeah.
a great swap for a
I
project.
think it is. That is really neat.
Yeah,
That's cool. When are you going to buy it? That would actually fit in the Fiat.
that would fit in the Lamborghini.
Forget the Lamborghini. Put it in the Fiat.
Yeah, actually, that'd be
It
kind of
would
sick.
fit in the Lamborghini. Has it got the...
Is
No, S8 was front engine.
is Colville? Colville? Is that up by Linden?
No.
It's farther east. Long ways
Okay,
east.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because I'm already heading to Linden on Friday.
Right.
So
Yes. Yeah.
for that project that we
Yeah.
can't talk about.
That's correct. That's a hidden project.
That's good. Everyone's gonna be asking about this.
That's
That's
fine.
also a
Instagram.
ghost
That's
project.
fine. That is a ghost project that will never be spoken of. Okay, so I found one. It's not the one that I saw earlier. So Porsche 928. It's a 79.
Okay.
I found another one that was also equally as cheap and in better condition than this one, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. So it's a 79 Porsche 928, $2,500.
Wow, automatic
Yeah.
or manual?
Let me see.
That's
It's
a
a
huge-
manual.
Oh my! Where? I really like 928s.
Spanaway. I like
I know where
928s also. It's not very far.
Yeah.
No.
That's only a 2.5 hour
up-
drive.
And,
That's up by Tacoma.
Tacoma.
the thing about Porsches is we had the Porsche bubble, and it seems like it's already popped.
It has popped.
But the fact is that some of those
Popped
Porsche
for these
special.
older ones.
Yeah.
I have always been a fan of the 928. The S4 was probably my favorite, but this is a pretty cool example. Looks like the front window's gone. The rest of the glass seems to be there. But yes, it has motor, has all things. It does run. Let's see, runs and drives. Brakes need work. They're sticking. A little bit of damage on the driver's side. Needs a new front fender.
Where Porsche gets expensive is all the small parts.
Oh, absolutely.
All the like you're paying $40, $50 for just say a little panel, or not
that-
panel, but a little interior thing.
Yeah, it's
And
not perfect. It's $2,500,
So-
but it would be cool.
it would be cool.
It's a project car. This is a project
yeah.
car segment. This
Well-
is a project car.
I wonder how many parts you can get off of VW.
Maybe
Well, probably a fair amount, but
Yeah.
honestly, the 928s and this one being a 79,
the fact it's a
there was
manual.
a good, was it 10 or 11 year run of these cars.
Yep.
There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of junkyard ones you can go pick parts off of.
I will agree and disagree. So I keep bringing up it's a manual. So
It's a
that
manual.
that car
That makes it worth more.
specifically, the if I remember correctly, the automatics were way more mass produced because it was a luxury car. Most people wanted that. And for those people wondering, 928, it's a Porsche, it's a European car. This was a 5-liter V8. You know, making
front engine.
350 horses at the time.
It's a great car.
Yeah. The problem with these cars they had back in the day was electrical problems. So as much power as it made, it is definitely a
Electrical gremlin.
exactly.
Machine, yeah.
And if you sort
see
out,
that.
it'd be great. But what I was getting at was
Pretty neat.
with Porsche being so expensive parts, most of the time, and why you see a lot of people with these older Porsches, they'll have like 1 or 2 for sale, is because they'll have one is their main one they're restoring, and the second one was the parts car they have to put into it. Like this would be a perfect car. Because the engine, the transmission, if it's missing pieces, you find another one with a blown engine or an
Yeah.
automatic that's worth, nothing. I wouldn't say nothing, but a quarter.
Gotcha.
Because most people, they gave up on those cars because the gremlins came in the engine, stopped running, but you have a perfectly good interior and exterior, and you just swap pieces off it.
Yep.
That's a good find, Rob.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I'd like to find that other one too because it appeared to be in even better condition and it was similarly priced. Mm-hmm. But carry on. I will look for.
Did you find your page, Jeremy?
Yeah. It's called Oregon Crew Cabs.
Okay.
And why it caught my eye is I've been following it for a while. And these guys kind of drive around out in farm country and find these old, like, Ford extended cab pickups. I think they've got a C10 extended cab pickup on there. There's a couple 4-doors. And they're looking mostly at the 67 to 79 range. Really cool finds. Some of them in decent shape and really good prices. So, you're going to see anything from, $2,500 up to $10,000 depending on what they're posting. But, yeah, some really interesting finds.
Okay.
It's kind of been fun watching these guys.
That's awesome. So, by comparison, I just was looking for the Datsun that I had seen. There is a second Porsche, a 79 928. It's an automatic. They want $8,500 for it.
Exactly. That's why I was saying
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
good steal.
Yeah.
For manual.
So the $2,500, even though it's rough, it's repairable, and that's a good buy. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Go ahead if you've found yours. I'm going to search for my other one.
I sent you one earlier this week, Rob. The problem is it's already sold. I don't know if I should. I want to just touch on this.
Talk about it anyway. Yeah.
Okay, and I bring this one up because even though it's sold, that there are still finds out there like this.
Yes.
I found earlier this week in Corvington, Washington. I'm really bad with names.
Covington.
Yeah, again, bad with names. 1971 Challenger for $5,000.
Challenger. Really?
Challenger had a
What
3
year?
a 71.
Oh,
Like, look, see, Jeremy, Look at that. But it had sold
That's
for
surprising.
Yeah. It was not in the nicest or rough. I mean, the body's there. The lines are there. It has rust, so it needs to be repaired. But it's got a 318 auto in it. But the fact is, like, you can't I feel like you can't find these Mopars or these older non-Mustang cars for that cheap anymore. I feel like just even a shell, you're getting 15 grand, 20 grand into.
Okay. I would argue the Mustangs a little bit. There's a zillion of them out there right now.
That's why I said not the Mustang.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Because Mustang,
Okay.
unless if it's like a Shelby or a Mach 1.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, but like when it comes to like Challengers, especially Chargers,
Yes.
you never see those.
Yeah,
You
those
never
are a lot
see
harder to find.
a Road Runner.
Agreed.
But if you keep searching, like we found, you see them every so often, like this one. And so definitely for our listeners out there, keep an eye out.
Yeah.
They're
I feel like the car market for potential projects has opened up a little bit in the last year. People are taking on more unique projects as well. And like you said, not necessarily going for the muscle car market or ponies or whatever. I don't know. There's some really cool stuff out there if you want to do a project that is a little off center. I've talked about doing one of the old late 70s, early 80s Toyotas or Nissans and putting in a long bed, putting the motor in the bed and doing the transaxle, right? Or just hooking it straight up, bell housing to your hard axle.
yeah.
So I found one, a 79 Toyota pickup. It's an automatic, but that really wouldn't matter because the conversion would be, I don't know how you do the linkage on it, but it'd be freaking crazy. $3,000 for a straight pickup.
Wow.
A nice little 79 Toyota pickup. I mean, shoot, you could run it just the way it is. One of them little lowriders. They're kind of cool. I would totally drive one of those. That'd be fun. So this one's in Astoria, Oregon. Does not say how many miles are on it. Oh, yes. No, it does not. That is a fake mileage. It is an automatic, but it runs, drives, has good brakes. It says it needs clutch work, but it's an automatic. So figure that out. Maybe.
You have clutches not an automatic. They're inside the transmission.
Sure, yeah. So either it's not an automatic or
Just needs more punch power.
something is up. Maybe it needs automatic or transmission work. But anyway, I don't know. There's just looking through, there's a lot of those little mini trucks out there for sale right now, and they're actually in pretty decent condition. It's kind of cool.
I sent you one, Jeremy and Rob. Jeremy, you want to talk about this one? Just so you know, I thought this was an interesting one.
No, I'm looking at another one right now that just caught my eye.
Does that mean I need to bring it up? All right. I bring this up only because, again, I've got two, restoring to one. It's a 1955 Ford C600. And I don't know if this counts as
right. That's big.
expensive for a project. It's at $5,000. And for me, feeling like this one runs and drives, which I'm very surprised about. And for $5,000 run drive, it is not a bad deal. It's already got a flatbed on it. But why these are special is like these cab over trucks are getting really expensive, and it's not, and especially when they're fully restored or they're in a show condition.
Yeah. Do you think that's what's driving it? Is they're really kind of cool when they're restored?
Yes.
Yeah.
As well as, and it's not a traditional cab over. In the 50s, cab over trucks weren't boxes that kind of look like semi trucks.
Right.
These were still rounded,
They had
dinosaur looking
kind of a
dino
nose,
bodies.
kind of nose on it, but it was
Exactly.
short.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you sat up like above, right on top of the engine too. Not like on top of it, but near it. Yeah.
Right.
But this being a Ford C600 with a manual and having a 2-speed electric rear end too, that's drivable.
Speed. How does that work? Do you know? I mean, can you explain that? A 2-speed electric rear end? I'm unfamiliar.
Maybe. Jeremy, do you know how that works?
I think it's kind of hard to explain,
Isn't
but
it a gear
it's got two gears in it.
in the diff?
Basically, the electric shift just sends it from first gear to second gear.
Okay,
so you
so it's
basically
a
got
solenoid
It's like
thing.
a high-low box, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I did find another one that I was just drooling over. $5,000. It is a 1978 Datsun 280Z.
Datsun. Ooh.
Soon.
It runs.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a manual transmission, 98,000 miles. And it looks like it needs some brake work, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's in Washougal, Washington.
I happen
Very
to know,
cool.
happen to know where that's at.
Yeah.
I found another 928 S4, 91. It's an automatic, $35,000.
How much?
35,000.
See that? And
It's in really good condition.
yeah, and that's what I was saying is with those cars, like
So
the
huge
bubble
brake.
pop. But I'm telling you, when it was
Yeah.
the Porsche bubble still exists, those cars were at $60,000.
Yeah.
Which is nuts because they used to be back at and where we saw them like a couple grand.
The thing is that will go back up.
Yeah.
Because, they're dwindling the numbers. I mean, this one's a 91. They went 35 for it. It may come down even more for a little while, but by the time it hits 40 years old and then 45, that number's going to go back up because there's not that many that are surviving that are in very good condition.
Yeah.
And it's a neat car. I mean, it does look, I don't know what Ian called it, a mouse. Looks like a computer mouse. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of that shape to it, with the back end being kind of rounded and bubbly. But I don't know. They were a pretty interesting Porsche, especially because front engine. There's not very many of those out there. Mm-hmm. There's a McLaren for $102,000. Okay, so we digress. Unless you guys have something else to talk about, let's call her a day.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I was looking up some Cobra kits, but I can't find it. Ooh, cammed 4.6.
You can buy a brand new Cobra kit for $21,000.
So
Yeah.
one thing that I have been seeing lately, the Mitsubishi 3000 GT?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have actually seen several of those recently
Is that right?
as project cars.
Uh-huh.
Under $5,000.
Do you know why though?
No.
Okay, so I wanted one way back in the day. It was, I think, right after Liger. The problem with those cars is any work you have to do, the engine has to come out from the bottom. And all the work inside is pretty tight in that engine bay. So the first thing is you have to have a lift to do a good amount of work on it, okay? Second thing with it is, depending on the year of those cars, they had a lot of tech they were trying to put in. Like the first generations had a lot of active aero onto it and had rear steering. The problem is you have a lot of electrical failures and hydraulic failures because of that. So you have to look in how you can get into that, because if there already parts are failing or near failing, how much is it going to cost to repair it? It's a good project if you have the means to, like a proper shop or a proper lift to work on it. Otherwise, you're going to be in hell just trying to, send in a shop for even a small thing.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, that was like the car everybody wanted.
Yeah.
Because, they were fast. They were all-wheel drive.
I mean, when they came in, I was into Rugrats.
I am sure you were.
Wow.
Okay, well, that's the end of the show. We just lost
I made you
our
guys
last
feel old.
listener.
Actually, I've run across this car a few times. It's a 1990 F1 car, listed for $18,000.
Okay.
No motor,
Okay.
but it has all the electrics in it, and it actually boots up. Like the steering wheel boots up and gives you hours and that kind of stuff that the car's been run.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. It's in Sacramento area, California. It's got a whole list. It's on Marketplace. If you just look up F1 car, you'll find it. Kind of an interesting piece. It would be more of a collector. I mean, I suppose you could fit some kind of motor in it to get it on track, which would be cool, whether you put like a Hayabusa motor or something like that in it.
Yeah.
That's chain drive, so it might be a little bit harder, but I don't know. Put a
Grant's got a V12.
Subaru
V12.
motor. It wouldn't fit. Those are little cars, man. Yeah. But, I mean, you could put something in there and have a fun little track day car.
I would honestly be willing to go partly into that because that'd be cool.
If it were half that price, I'd be more interested.
Yeah, you go half, I go half, and we share it.
Quarter.
Yeah, I'm just saying if it was $9,000,
Yeah.
it would probably be worth buying.
Yeah.
But the way it is at $18,000, I don't think that's really worth it. And that's why it's been on here for freaking
It's going to be a
months.
hard sell at 18.
I agree. With no motor,
Yeah.
you know.
If it had a motor,
Oh, you'd sell it at 18 all day
Oh,
long.
yeah,
You'd sell it
sure.
at 30 probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At 9,000, I would be interested because then you could actually make something out of that project.
I'm going to make a point, and you guys need to remind me this week. There is actually a website that sells formula cars and formula style cars.
Yes.
Either need a repair or for project for cheap. I just can't remember for the life of me what it's called. But I will try to bring it up for next show because that is definitely one. If
It's a neat website. I've seen it.
Yeah, if our listeners are into the possibility of having a formula style car with the big wings and
There's actually a
Like racing junk or something.
that's one of them, but they sell all kinds of. There's actually 2 or 3 that sell some Formula style cars and stuff, and you can find them on like the Formula Continentals. I found one of those on Racing Junk, and I should have bought it. I'm still kicking myself. I didn't because I didn't have room.
yeah.
But it was a running car with all the paperwork for $9,000.
Wow.
I know, and that's what tempted me. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because it had all the aero, front and rear aero.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was neat. Really neat looking car.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
It was super fun. Yeah. I don't know what I'd do with it, but I mean,
You'd race it.
eventually.
Either that or take it to McDonald's.
I would like a Big Mac. You're going to have to turn your car off, sir. I can't hear you.
That'd make a hell of a reel, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Anyway, super fun.
All right.
All right,
Should we
so-
give shout outs to our
Shout them out.
all right, so make sure to follow us on Instagram at Untitled Car Project. Follow us on Twitter at Untitled Car Pro, at Facebook on our group and personal profile pages at Untitled Car Projects. Email us at untitledcarproject@gmail.com.
I think they're seeing a pattern here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to say, though, to our listener, because we're always looking for guests and interesting stories and people.
Sure.
I would, if we have one of our listeners listening who's completed, say, a kit car, a full kit car ground up from a Cobra,
Love to talk to them.
email us. I would love to have you show and hear about how that process went and what it took to build that.
100% would like to talk to somebody that's done that.
Yeah.
You know what? Even if you've done a kit card and failed, I'd like to talk
I'd
to you.
still
too.
like to hear about that.
Because you've got experience in what it takes and what to do and what not to do. And
What does Grant need to look out for?
oh my goodness. And,
But
and you can help us convince Grant that he needs to sell that thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I know if you know anyone,
Yes.
shout them out and say, hey, get in contact with Untitled Car Project. We'd love to hear from you
Yes,
guys.
yes.
And I also wanted to give a huge thank you to Rachel for coming on the show today.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Super great. Look forward to talking to her some more, maybe at a car show or
PAR.
SEMA or PRI.
PRI.
Who knows what? Something down the road. That's awesome. So thanks everybody for listening. And until next time, hit follow.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.